Not Clipper, hi friends, Darth Momo here. Recently, the YouTuber Scruffy Looking Nerf Herder reached out to me and asked to do a sort of collab type video where you just chit chat, shoot the breeze for a couple hours, talk about Star Wars and a few other things. And the YouTuber Lucky Kennedy also joined in. He was a big part in helping get us set up and get this scheduled and organized. So big shout out to him. Big shout out to Scruffy for making this happen as well. And what follows is just a nice little 2.5 hour long conversation. We talk about Star Wars most of the time, but a couple other things mixed in there. So hope you guys enjoy.
I think, introductions I think are in order. I'm Lucky Kennedy, part-time preservationist, and just overall nuisance.
And I'm the Scruffy Nerf Herder. Well, I guess a majority Star Wars content creator, but I am going into other properties now, so.
I'm Darth Momo. I've got two channels. Actually, one is Darth Momo that's just mainly focused on Star Wars, but I kind of just also post whatever on there. There's also a second channel, Jaw Movies. I haven't done a lot with it over the last year or so, but various short films and such that I've done with other friends throughout high school. So that's me. Of course, I think we all
we
got
have
to
an
give
actual filmmaker.
I think we got to give a shout out to Scruffy for I at least want to give a shout out to Scruffy. Of course we've had our differences in the past, but I had no long-term grudges, but I was content to just go our separate ways and never really have any interactions again. But it was Scruffy who reached out to me and asked if we wanted to do something like this. So I want to get kudos to that where credit's due and make sure like this wasn't just obviously we all worked to set up times and everything to get involved and I can't speak to too much how Lucky got involved, how that worked between the two of them, but I want to
I
give
think,
shout outs
I think I was the one that brought up,
Okay.
at least throwing out an apology, just to be, and whatnot. But my memory's a little bit hazy. A lot of things have been going on within the past couple months.
I got you. No worries. I just want to make sure like this is on, you guys putting this together and reaching out across the aisle. Of course I'm happy to do so and reciprocate, but that didn't start with me. So I just want to make sure proper credit is due for the probably 3 people who actually care about that.
Well,
It's all right.
Yeah, Kennedy just kind of showed, it's always better to not have drama, and
Yeah.
admittedly when we were having our, I guess, little beef or whatever you want to call that, that's when YouTube stopped being enjoyable for me. It was kind of my first ever like creator content clash, or so yeah, I'm glad we're
I've
doing
been
this.
there. I've been there. Oh God.
No, you know what?
If
You're right. Like, I had fun kind of getting the weeds a little bit, but at the same time, like, it was like, oh, a response. And it's like, well, now I want to respond, but it's like, I
Yeah,
want to at the same time. It's like, now I feel like this doesn't work, et cetera. Like, I get it. It's not the funnest thing or, all the hours of arguments. It's like, I don't mind having a little bit of an interaction in the comments, but when it's hours and
Mhm.
hours and hours, and not necessarily with you, with some of the other
yeah,
people in like that EU camp, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
the
just
Gatekeepers Alliance.
yeah. It just kind of
I mean,
drags the fun out of it. And especially doesn't help when I don't know if you guys dealt with this, but for me sometimes I'd type a long comment and then I think it was just an auto filter sometimes YouTube would delete it and then I'd go back in and
yeah,
I'd
I've
be
had
like, "Oh,
that.
there's no response. Oh no, the comment's not deleted." So I started like having to copy to my phone clipboard comments after I type really long ones. So I'm like, just in case. And thankfully, a few times I had them saved. So when YouTube deleted it, I was able to like break it up and try to repaste it. But it's stuff like
that's
that.
good.
It drags out. It gets irritating. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah,
It's coarse, it's rough, and it's
Yeah.
irritating, and it just gets everywhere. God, I butchered that line so hard.
It's all right. We know we got the spirit of what you're going for.
Yeah. But yeah, the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, let's talk about
Surprisingly,
that.
this leaked like at least months ago. Like
Yeah.
it leaked, I think, in like November, not November. I think it's leaked somewhere like in April. I can't remember when it leaked. But what's called? I remember looking at the stills for it. And it's like, oh shit, this is noticeably higher quality than the old 2013 scan that was used for the 4K. And it retains a lot of the original film grain too. So it's like,
Yeah.
this like, and it doesn't have the inherent generational loss of a theater print, which is what 4K 77 and Silver Screen Edition use.
Yeah, it
And the colors
looks
are just pristine.
noticeably good. I mean, as
Yeah.
someone who
Yeah.
still like will stand in the pro special edition camp, I'm not gonna lie, like
Mhm.
even just compared to the special editions, the coloring and just the look of it, it looks really good.
Mhm. It looks more like the 1997 special edition in terms of its color timing, which for the 1997 special edition, they used George Lucas's own non-faded Technicolor print, which
And
was a net positive.
I've heard digging into that a little bit earlier in the year, like I heard some people saying online that the way the 97 special edition looked in theaters was way different than a lot of the home media releases that we saw. Like when people think of the color changes or whatnot, when you get a lot of just people casuals on the internet comparing it, a lot of times they're just going off the VHS. But what I've seen online is people who are actually in the theater said that no, that's not how it looked in the theater. Like the actual print in the theater looked really good for the 97, just coloring wise.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. The Laserdisc is probably the best representation color-wise of it, but of course there are print scans now, thanks to the people behind 4K 77 getting their hands on prints. Sorry, but Breaker broke again, so I had to reflip that.
It's all good.
Thanks, sister.
What do you think, Scruffy, about the re-release?
I think it's good. I think every version of the film should be available.
This does open the door to a possible re-release of the 97 special edition, that version, which has been tossed aside in favor of the 2004 and later 2011 versions.
It would be interesting to see like a Blade Runner type thing for the Star Wars trilogy, but
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like for a lot of people they just kind of like lump it all together. It's either all the changes or it's just none of the changes, which I mean, for a lot of people, I think that's just how they look at it.
hmm
I think most people that actually care about the differences, I don't think they're necessarily caring about the different versions. But as someone who, yeah, I grew up on the 2004 DVDs and all that, I think that would be kind of cool. I mean, I had the VHS tape, so it's like I'm not needing a release. But I still think that would be kind of a cool thing to see. But I'm okay with it not happening. I don't know what
I think
versions did you guys grow up on?
Special edition, but I ended up
Okay.
discovering the 2006 DVD, which got me into the theatrical cut a bit more. It just felt like, like I don't know. I'm more of a sucker for authenticity.
Mhm.
yeah, the 2004 box set was what I grew up on.
Yeah.
Mine was 2000, yeah, 2006. So that's how I got my theatrical experience. But I didn't watch it until, God, I think 10 years ago. No, I
Mhm.
think it was more than 10 years ago. I was like older. I can't remember exactly when.
See, and it's like for me with the special editions when it comes to, I mean, I'm not gonna like sit there and just say like your people are awful to have interest in it because I completely get it. Like I love like getting into the nitty gritty of learning about all the different changes and the way it's changed over the years, and even just down to
Mhm.
not just like, oh yeah, Java's in there now, like down to like the little like the difference between the mono mix and the stereo mix and all that. I love learning about
Mm.
that stuff, but for me,
Mhm.
like, I guess kind of the perspective I bring to it as someone who's like, like 10 years ago, I was up in the internet, riding the bandwagon of the internet. So it's like, yeah, let's hate on the special editions. It's cool to do, right? But as time's gone on, like, I didn't have like a passionate hatred for it because I grew up on the DVDs and then just over the years doing like, short films and everything and like, when we first started making short films, it was like we were working with like Windows Live Movie Maker, for example, and it was like so basic. So there was a lot of things that we wished we could have done that we couldn't. And then, two,
Oh
three
yeah.
years later in high school, we had access to the school computers that had Final Cut Pro on them, and there was a lot more we could do with that. So not only did that change what we did going forward, it allowed us kind of the opportunity to kind of go back and re-edit things. Of course, there was some George Lucas inspiration with doing that, but just looking back on it, I'm so much happier now that it's like, I had better resources and capabilities that I didn't have back in the day. So it was like to me, I really appreciated that opportunity to go there and do what, not to basically verbatim quote George, but basically got to go back and fulfill, my original vision of what I intended, but just couldn't do with the resources at the time. And now it's like that short film, as cruddy as a lot of them are, at least that can now be remembered as I initially intentioned, not just, well, there was a lot of like, effects and everything I couldn't do because of our lack of resources. And so on that level, I completely like relate to George Lucas and doing that with a special edition. And I understand that a lot of people aren't going to, like some of the changes. And I'm not going to say that you're wrong to dislike it. But the way look at it is like, I've done
Mhm.
collaborative films before with people. And like, there was, when we were doing our last short film together, we were planning out the script, four of us. And there was several points where someone would be like, I want to do it this way. Or, no, actually, I think it should be this way. And here's why. And it's like, well, we all kind of bring to it different perspectives. And I'm sure if George Lucas was sitting over my shoulder when I was making my film, he'd be like, yeah, maybe I'd do that different, or "Yeah, I would have done that differently, but this is my film. This is what I'm working on. This is, how I want it, regardless of what George or anybody else would say.
Mhm.
And so I, kind of respect George's for saying, hey, actually, this is how I want to do it. And yeah, I get that, maybe just throwing a number out there, 80% of people or whatever are going to laugh at this and be like, why'd you put rocks in front of R2D2? It makes no sense. But this is how I want it. And, I completely respect it from that
Yeah, it's
perspective, being on the other side of the camera and the editing and all that. So that's kind of the take I bring to it.
it's a zero fucks attitude I aspire to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't think George would have gotten nearly as much hate for the special editions if he kept the theatrical cuts within circulation at least as
Oh
like a
yeah.
bonus on the disc. Like at least bring them up to the modern standards. I think that would have at least gone a long way to. But then again,
I
each to
agree.
our
The hate
own.
would have been almost. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that hated it anyway would have still cracked their jokes about it, but there wouldn't have been this intense backlash.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a double-edged sword because if that doesn't if Lucas doesn't keep the if Lucas did bring the theatrical cuts into higher resolutions before 4K 77 and Silver Screen Edition, we wouldn't have the robust like fan scannings like fan scanning 30 film prints that we have now.
Mhm.
That is true.
And,
Yeah.
and what's called there's this one movie about playing pool, like the what's called the ball game, what's called from 1971, and it never made it on the home video. It was I think only screened in drive-in theaters, and a couple I think 2021 or I can't remember exactly when, but these guys got their hands on few film reels of it, and they scanned it up to 4K for preservation.
Mhm.
And no company was going to touch this fucking movie. So it's where I would have loved for Lucas to bring the theatrical cuts up to modern standards, like at the time they were being released. But with looking at the entire preservationist angle that the fans and just generally people have taken, I'm willing to have it sacrificed for that. Because 4K 77 has led to a flurry of print scans coming up of different movies, especially James Cameron movies, given how he's fucked them with AI. Oh
I think
god.
That's an interesting perspective.
I think depending on how George, I guess would have upscaled the films, I think would have affected fan preservation as well. I think
Yeah.
had he done a mediocre job, then I think we would have gotten a 4K 77. Maybe not the way it is now, but maybe some variant of it.
Yeah. Then again, I don't think they would have upscaled it because they would have had at least the interpositive to restore, so you could just scan
Yeah.
that in 4K and call it a day.
It's
That's
interesting
what
though what
being
you
that's
guys
what's
say
being
though,
used
because
current remaster.
well, it's interesting though because I think Scruffy's kind of got a point when he's like, if it was kind of considered subpar by the fans, they would have done it anyway. And with
Oh
just,
yeah,
I mean, all the complaints from the fans, I shouldn't say complaints, but well, complaints, whatever, about just
tomato tomato.
the coloring itself. I could see that, in itself, just being enough reason for people like, I'm gonna hunt down Prince and, get it
Mhm.
scanned in and do what we got to do with it, work our magic,
Yep.
just because of the coloring, even if the films weren't changed at all.
Yeah, A New Hope, that was a Technicolor film. So like Technicolor, those are really good at retaining their color. Like they don't fade too much. So all you need to do is just like slightly shift it. Like I think the prints they got for A New Hope for 4K 77, those were like in decent condition. Like either like I think they leaned a bit more towards red. I'm not 100% sure. I do have like a sample from like Silver Screen Edition where it was like pretty red on the opening reel, like the title crawl.
Mm.
Yeah, I did put that on YouTube a little while ago. It's interesting to see. Very, very interesting to see.
I think when it comes to like the fact that Disney's releasing it though, I mean, I get that like a lot of people, are coming at it from like the preservation angle or this should be done, but to me it's I mean, if we don't know what was behind the scenes and
Mhm.
especially cuz Kathy Kennedy has said in the previous years she's like, "Oh, we're not going to touch that. That's George's. That's his films. We're not messing with that." So I mean, if George was involved and he gave it his blessing, I'll
Mhm.
stand aside and be like, if the creator's okay with it, then
Mhm.
it is what it is. But if they're just doing that kind of behind his back, that's where it's like, I get you
Yeah,
can
that's
make all
kind of
the
a dick
arguments
move.
you want against, the special editions, but doing it against his back is where I kind of draw the line. I'm like, yeah, it's one thing to mess with like, to make bad movies that are like considered the sequels to his films, but it's another thing I think to touch the film itself because at least like for whatever whatever people think of what comes afterwards, whether it's great or garbage or whatever, those films are still like you know they're independent of that, and we could see that in the fact that people still love the original trilogy regardless of all the backlash the prequels and the sequels got. But
Oh
the
yeah,
fact that they're messing with the films themselves without his take, I mean that's basically what he was preaching against in 1988.
yeah. Weirdly, yeah. But then again, I don't think it's like a Kathleen Kennedy decision at all. I think this might have been like even higher up, like Bob Iger or some shit. Wouldn't surprise me, given like she had to fight them on like multiple occasions for like
Mhm.
getting the acolyte made and
Mm.
Andor and all that. So it's like it's a position I do not want to find myself in, to be
Do you
honest.
think he'll ever make a public statement on the films?
I don't know. I don't know.
You know, if he goes to the 50th anniversary or 50 celebration in 2027, which I wouldn't be surprised because he attended the 40th anniversary celebration. So if he attends celebration, I wouldn't be surprised if he speaks, but aside from that, I think he's pretty much made it clear that he's content to move on from Star Wars. So I wouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if we never hear from him again on Star Wars, but if
Yeah,
he shows up at the celebration, I think he'll say something.
he's a bit busy with his museum, which honestly, good
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah, agreed.
We
I
all
think
need a
they'll
side
probably
project once in our life.
yeah, I think they'll invite him to the celebration, and if he's invited, I think he'll attend.
Oh,
He
yeah.
he attended for the 40th one, and it seems like he's on decent terms with them at least. I mean, he backed Bob Iger last year in that proxy fight, so I think it's very possible that he'll talk about it and he'll show up then.
Now, if only we could get the original Star Tours on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That would be interesting because I think I've seen a print on YouTube, but I'm not sure if that's 100% legit or not. It's higher
Interesting.
quality than a lot of bootlegs. I know that for certain.
What would be interesting is if they ever release the holiday special. That one I'm genuinely curious on if they'll ever do that or not.
I think they released the Nelvana animated part
Yeah,
with
they
Boba
did
Fett.
that,
Yeah,
Hmm.
they've released that, but
but that
yeah,
was
I'd
on
like to see it as well.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but that was like a hidden like Easter egg you could access on the 2011 Blu-ray. So that was
Oh,
Lucas
really?
was okay with
Really?
releasing that before the Disney bought. Yeah. I think it's like one of those where like I guess in the olden days with like DVD remotes you had to like hit a couple buttons or something, but yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cartoons on the Blu-ray, one of the bonus discs.
Okay, that's neat. I didn't know
That's pretty
that.
cool.
So
But
yeah,
yeah,
that was Lucas was at least on the very much or at the very least okay with releasing the cartoon.
mhm. Yeah, Nelvana, they're going through some pretty rough shit recently.
Oh, I didn't know they were still operating.
Oh, they're still operating, but
Okay.
they got very dangerously close to closing down, and it's undeterminate of like where they're gonna stand going forward. I don't
They
think they're
weren't
doing
involved in
any
the
animated
'03
projects.
micro series though, right? Just the '80s cartoons.
Yeah, they were involved in the '80s cartoons, but
Okay.
their their first and basically only high budget theatrical film, Rock and Rule, it's referenced in '03 Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well, and I know like
the people, the blue alien people.
yeah.
That's what they're named after that movie.
Oh, yeah, the Nelvon planet, or isn't the
Yeah,
planet Nelvon is named after that, right?
yeah. God, I have dedicated an unholy amount of time towards that fucking movie.
I, honestly,
Like,
I've never heard of it.
okay, so yeah, the Blu-ray, it's a 1080p scan of a theater print cleaned up.
Okay.
Unfortunately, thanks to budget, it suffers from crushed blacks, so it's like anything dark, you can't pull any detail out of it.
Okay.
And on top of that, the Blu-ray doesn't have a lossless sound mix, so I had to source the 1986 MGM Laserdisc and the audio from the 1985 Japanese Embassy Laserdiscs, and I got them synced up to the Blu-ray.
All right.
And I also got
That
the
must have
video from
been
the '86 Laserdisc too.
hard work to do
Oh
all that.
fuck me! I had to wait a year for the MGM Laserdisc. Like I had a contact, and it just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and I was patient as fuck. I'm like, oh, don't worry, we'll get to it eventually. And meanwhile, I was just internally screaming.
I don't know if
But
I'd
no,
be as
it
patient
was
as you
worth
would
it
have
in
been.
the end. I also got the screener DVD, which is not in widescreen. It's pretty much like the top and bottoms are opened up, so you can see like more of the frame. Yeah, it's I dedicated way too much time to that movie.
You should make a video documenting the entire
I
process.
oh fuck, I would, but that movie is copyrighted to fuck.
No, there's no
Like
way like around that. Maybe not showing maybe
I could probably show
half
still
the film.
images, but I've already done that already on like various platforms. Like I broke YouTuber Noodle by showing him how crushed the blacks were compared to the other releases. He's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
When did you do this?
I did it a while ago. I did it on Blue Sky.
Oh,
The
okay.
what's it called,
Yeah.
basically Twitter, but with less Nazis on it.
Yeah.
Twitter, but not as mentally damaging. I hate Twitter.
There's
Yeah,
so
but
many of
Twitter's
them.
had
I never got involved with like social media heavy like that anyway, and it's like what now? There's like a gazillion of them.
there's
Yeah,
quite a few.
I haven't been on Facebook in years, but then again, it's Facebook.
That's the only one actually I ever got or I ever like used.
Yeah,
Facebook like dying out now, or is it still pretty big?
it's somehow still alive.
I feel like it's things like Messenger and Facebook Marketplace that keep it afloat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that sounds about
barely.
right.
I don't know what other topics you guys got. I know you guys are cooking up a little list.
Mm. Oh boy. But yeah, shit. I think I'm going blank.
Yeah,
My
I'll
brain is just out.
go through it.
Ugh.
Um,
Uh,
I had it
let's
here. I'm trying to find it.
We didn't make a. I don't think we made a list. I think we were just spitballing ideas. But yeah, we know Orson Welles. He was originally eyed to play what's called Darth Vader,
Darth Vader, yeah.
and I think the '86 Transformers movie, which has its own fucked releases, and I can say with certainty that it's the Sony ones. I think the '86 Transformers movie at least gives an idea of what he would have sounded like as Vader. And yeah,
Do you
I've
think?
posted the clip there, so if you want to splice that in, go ahead.
Do you think it would have been as impactful as James Earl Jones? Or
Uh, I don't think so, but like Orson Welles, big name, of course.
yeah,
But James Earl Jones, he's just hit that right way. Mm.
It might have for the time, just because that was such a well-known actor, but as
Hmm.
far as like the timeless aspect of it, it probably wouldn't have. Once like
Yeah.
the Star Wars came back in like the late '90s, I don't think it would have mattered as much
Hmm.
then.
Yeah. I,
Maybe at the
I know.
first release, but
Yeah. I know for certain Orson Welles would have been alive to do the original trilogy, but not
Mhm.
the prequel trilogy or anything after, because he died like shortly after he recorded for Transformers the movie. Hell, it was a joke amongst some of the voice actors that Wally Burr, the voice director, killed Orson Welles. Oh, Wally Burr, great, probably one of the greatest, like, what you call it, recording artists for like recording guys in the business. Like, if you watched an '80s cartoon, you've probably heard like his work. Like, what's called G1 Transformers being a prime example of just a solid, like some of the greatest voice work you could ever hear. Like, a lot of the what's called the what's their names. There's a good amount of outtakes from those sessions that are on YouTube, and it's like, oh wow, they really put a lot of effort into the voice work, and there's some pretty good meme material out of it.
I'll be
Or
honest,
bad
y'all might hate me.
comedy,
I've
that's
never
one.
seen anything Transformers.
Oh, you
Oh
haven't
yeah,
checked out Transformers?
Honestly, no.
damn. So how do we bully Momo into watching Transformers Prime?
Well, it's okay. I
Like,
mean, just me saying that might give what's his name, Brandon, a heart attack with how much he talks about Transformers.
I've actually been reading the G1 Marvel comic. I'm like about halfway through Compendium 1. It's very solid. I really like it. Like, it's basically if the cartoon was just a little more serious, but it's
Because
also
wasn't
like that classic Marvel stuff. But
wasn't
yeah,
the
yeah, a lot
movie
of the
like the first time we see Transformers die?
uh on screen, yes, in the comics. Oh boy, so many characters die. Like, I think Starscream has like a considerable kill count in the Underbase saga. Oh lord. Like, a lot of characters. He kills a lot of characters in that arc.
Yeah, see, I could see Starscream as being a killer, not like I know they portray him as a coward, but I think
Hmm.
portraying him as a killer as well,
Oh yeah.
I can definitely see.
But yeah, if you want to get into Transformers, there's like a few good entry points. I wouldn't recommend G1 because it's a very take it or leave it type of thing. If you vibe with it, you vibe with it. If you don't vibe with it, you don't. Transformers
Okay.
War for Cybertron, the video game by High Moon Studios, probably the best entry point, along with
Mm.
Transformers 1 and Transformers Prime,
Okay.
or the Skybound comics. Those, like, if you want, like, it's a great starting point at least. The High Moon games are fucking stellar. Like, some, like, think Gears of War, but fun.
Okay.
And also, good story.
Work on pretty much any computer like PC now.
Oh yeah, thanks to yeah, it's Unreal 3, but despite being Unreal, it actually has an art style.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
also
mean,
this Fall of Cybertron, that's got some really good color to it though. I love that. I love those games so much. Just thinking about them makes me want to play them again. I got them on 360. I've got torrents of them ready to go. I just completed what you call it, a playthrough of Transformers the game, and yeah, now I feel hollow inside.
you always got Revenge of the Fallen to go after, so
Oh yeah, I did play most of that. I beat the Autobot campaign, and I later did the most of the Decepticon campaign, but I had to pause because my main computer ended up going kaput. So wonderful,
yeah.
but luckily I have this backup gaming laptop. Yeah. Okay, let's move this. Let's try and move this topic back on the Star Wars because I think Momo might fall asleep.
No, you're
Is there
good.
any Disney Star Wars stuff
I
that's
still need
going
to
on at the
watch
moment?
Andor. I've been meaning to watch it. I've got the entire show on my hard drive, but I haven't been able to find time for it. or I've just been watching something else. I've been watching Lupin the Third,
Oh,
mainly
Lupin.
part two.
Yeah.
I've
Do
got
you
all
wa-
the English dubbed episodes for part two, so I figured, why not?
do you watch any of the Disney stuff, Scruffy, or you just kind of keep up with the basics of it online?
Yeah, I used to watch Disney Star Wars. Like I tried to give it a go, but
Hmm.
it hasn't really appealed to me. I just keep up with the basics
I
of what's
gotcha.
going on.
I've been relatively disconnected. I've watched a good chunk of Skeleton Crew with some friends, and The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 when they came out. Part Up to episode 4, I think, of Ahsoka. I didn't even touch Book of Boba Fett. Like I think I saved myself a bullet to the head there, but I do have Andor on the list. I do have it on my drive, ready to go.
Are you a big Andor fan, or just kind of watch it to watch it?
I heard it's really good, and I figured, well, might as well give it a shot.
I mean, there are some episodes in there that I thought were really good, but I'm not one of those that thinks like Andor's the best thing of Star Wars ever, or it's the best thing since the original trilogy. Like, I think I gave it maybe like a B. I'd probably stand by that after season two. Like, there's some good moments in there, but I think it's very
Hmm.
overrated.
Yeah,
I think season
it
one
does
took
have
me about 5 or 6 episodes to get into, and then same with season two. The first two arcs were kind of eh. I enjoyed the third arc, and then the last arc was kind of eh.
yeah, fluctuating quality is a bitch in terms of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like the most extreme example I've probably seen is TCW because the early seasons are like, oh boy. Like I tried watching that during the pandemic and it was like I got through it, but I came out a completely different man.
I think
It's
nostalgia plays a lot with people's views on TCW.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very like some things you fuck with, but some things you don't. Like if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry if I tend to swear a little, but it's
That's
good
okay.
grief. I don't know
Yeah.
if this will affect ad revenue, but then again, I hate YouTube, so I think we're all in agreement that we just hate this fucking platform.
There's
Yeah,
definitely
there's
pros
a
and
lot wrong
cons
with it.
to it.
But it's the only decent video platform that has people on it.
Yeah, the most accessible for sure.
Unfortunately.
Hmm. Like that's the only
And
reason why it's still big.
I don't think we'll ever get like competition for YouTube. I think
Yeah,
they've
not
just monopolized it.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not like Steam where it's like what you call it. It's like the best option, and the
Mm.
competition just keeps shooting themselves. Oh god, the CE, like I think the head for Epic Games saying, "Oh, Steam should get rid of the tags that say a game is made with AI." What?
That's stupid. That's
Like
stupid. Oh my god.
I never wanted to slam my head into a table more in my life. Like,
GOG's pretty good. I like GOG.
oh yeah, GOG. Yeah, GOG is great. They do wonders for preservation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's good. Like there's a lot of games I didn't think you could play anymore thanks to them.
yeah. Oh yeah. God bless them. Like I would love to see see if they could probably salvage the High Moon Transformers games, but then again,
Oh yeah.
it it, it probably won't happen due to the rights bullshit.
Does Microsoft own those games or did Activision lose the rights to those years ago?
Activision lost the rights, but it's complicated. It's Hasbro,
Yeah.
and they'd probably make a good ton of money if they decided, hey, let's re-release these. But no. But then again, piracy is king.
Especially with now where it's, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Thanks for reminding me of Ubisoft.
Yeah. Ubisoft, they're just garbage.
Yeah. I haven't seen their latest Star Wars game. I just heard it's a buggy mess, and I'm like, yeah, that's about the Ubisoft standard, alright. Like, I'm not gonna speak on like the game itself because I
Mm.
haven't played it. I have this like mantra of like not trashing something if I haven't seen or watched or read it. Which
Yeah,
honestly I
that's a
think
good thing.
a lot of people can learn from certain people.
So in regards to Andor, do you think they'll do a season 3, or they'll continue it like where it's like 6 seasons, or do you think
They
they'll
led
do?
straight in the Rogue One, so there. I mean, I guess the original plan was for 5 seasons, but they trimmed that down because they didn't know
Mhm.
if they could get 5 seasons approved, and then they're like, "Yeah, I don't know. Diego Luna would age out of the role, so it's done
Mm.
with its second season."
Yeah. Then again, I think what's called brevity is the soul of wit. So it's like it being shorter is will definitely lead probably be a net positive in terms of like rewatchability and all that
Yeah, I agree with that.
because more people are going to rewatch like a 26 episode show more than 7 seasons.
Yeah, like The Walking Dead. Like I don't know how many
Oh
seasons they've
boy.
got of that.
Or The Simpsons.
Yeah,
Oh
Simpsons
god.
too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you feel confident in Disney Star Wars' future, or do you think they're
There's still
not
some
going very
growing
well?
pains.
I mean, I don't know if it's ever gonna get back to like the glory days of, you know, I mean, I could say the glory days of the 2000s, but I feel like for a lot of
Mm.
people, those weren't glory days. So just for playing it safe, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to get back to like the glory days of the early days of the franchise. I think Star Wars has unfortunately just become considered one of the other popular franchises out there. And I don't see that ever really changing, even if they turn quality around, which I'm skeptical about.
Hmm.
I don't see the public ever changing their view on anything other than just, yep, Star Wars is just one of those popular IPs out there. It's just one of many big, corporate franchises. It looks like they're trying to take a little bit more care with their planning as far as future movies, but then at the same time, it's like, well, they're spitting out this movie, and then after that, it'll be another movie the next year, and then they've got four more down the pipeline. So it's like, I feel like now it's just, oh well, streaming's died. All right, let's just go back to a movie a year. So I don't know.
I still
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
believe I forgot the Mandalorian and Grogu
yeah, I
exists.
was about to say that. Yeah, I mean, is anyone even excited for that one? Or
I
Not
don't
really.
know because I haven't heard any conversation about it since the trailer. Like zero. I've heard more conversation on the hunt for Ben Solo
To
yeah,
me, the
since.
mm,
Mandalorian and Grogu just feels like the obligatory, like, yep, just plop for those who are actually going to see it, just kind of, yep, plop in the theater, watch it, all right, and then move on and never think about it. Like, it doesn't feel like there's anything substance there. And I for one, actually never really got too big into the Mandalorian. I enjoyed some of the later season 2 episodes, but I always thought the show was kind of overrated. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's all right, it's not bad, but I didn't like when season 1 came out and it took the world by storm. I guess I was
oh
just kind of
yeah,
like, it's all right.
I got into the hype for the Mandalorian because it was like it was passable to say the least. Like especially coming off the heels of Rise of Skywalker, it
Yeah.
certainly did elevate my rating of it. But rewatching it, it's like, oh my god, is there anything in the hood? Like,
Yeah.
where's the meat? Where's the meat? I can't find the meat.
I think the
you think
closest
a
it
lot of
comes is the episode with Bill Burr in season 2, which I
Yeah,
think
and that's
actually
like a
might hold up
one and
as one of the
done.
best episodes, just because that actually like got into the idea of like, I felt like it was kind of tackling ideas of like, how devoted are you to your beliefs, and what really do you consider at stake and all that. I think that's the only episode really in the whole season that's got some sort of substance to it.
Of course, they give the guy that jokes about hating Star Wars the best character role,
Right. And
and and,
yeah,
and
go ahead.
somehow Sigourney Weaver didn't end up in Andor. I will never not forgive them for that.
oh, is she in Star Wars now? I
Yeah,
never
she's
knew
in the
that.
Mando film.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now the question is, do we think the movie's actually going to be some sort of success? Will it break even, or do you think it's just going to bomb?
I'm not gonna be predicting Nancy on that because honestly, what can I say? Like it's so far in the future, you can't really predict these sorts of things. Like,
I think
what's
it's
called?
the
Remember when a bunch of idiots on the internet began predicting, "Oh, Superman won't crack 600 million," and then it cracked
mm,
600 million.
I think at the very least, I highly doubt it'll bomb.
Yeah, I think
Mhm. I
it's
would be
not gonna be
surprised if
like
it bombed.
it's not gonna be like the sequels making. I don't think it'll make 1 billion at the box office, but
No.
I don't think it's gonna bomb. I think it'll break even, maybe a little bit of a positive take home, and then that'll be that.
Yeah, it would probably like kill like TV to movie glow ups. But then again, with the Mandalorian and Grogu, it's like there's no glow up here. It looks like the show. Like what's
Yeah,
called
it
with the
does.
Transformers movie, there was like a substantial bump up in quality in the animation. It's like fluid as hell. Like it's great.
You think they
No,
filmed it like a show and then just
yeah.
at the last minute they just edit it down into a movie?
So basically, the TCW movie.
Yeah, pretty
Welcome
much.
back,
Yeah.
welcome back, the Clone Wars.
At
It's
least
only
with
been like what
TCW
12
though, that
years.
was like the start, so it could only go up from
Mm.
there, right? Whereas like now it's like a movie should have been an upgrade, and it really won't.
Hmm.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't mind if it bombs. I'm of the opinion like, you know what, like I'm okay with never having another Star Wars movie again. Like just leave that for the main installments, and I'd be okay honestly if they started kind of closing out the Mandoverse and getting really sparse with their on-screen content. But that's just me. I know I'm in the minority on that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, okay, I hope this bombs so we don't have to see Grogu again. Because oh
Yeah.
boy, like retire him at least for a couple of years. Like I've been saying that with like some comic like Harley Quinn. It's like okay, can we please retire her
Yeah.
for at least a little while?
She got her own show, so
Yeah, I haven't seen the show, so I can't really speak on it. I remember the DE English, dear God, DCEU movies of her.
oh, the
It's like
Snyderverse, yeah.
yeah, well, there's the Snyderverse, and then there's the later DCEU, which oh boy, it's a complicated mess. I'm glad James Gunn decided, okay, we're pressing the reset button.
Yeah, I think it did need a reset. I think Blue Beetle and then
But
Black Adam I think that was what did it.
mm, honestly, I think what did it was yeah, Black Adam certainly fucking nuked it, but
Mm.
I think it was like fucked since Justice League or
Oh,
Batman v
yeah,
Superman.
that's right, yeah.
Like
That Justice League movie, yeah.
I've been saying for years that the DCEU needed a hard reset. Like I've been saying that for like 10 years. So
It's only lasted like 10 years.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
I've been
much.
saying it since like at least Justice League, I think. So
You
I've
think
been
the
relatively
MCU could
consistent.
reset?
Fuck. When it when it comes to resetting stuff, like I understand the methodology behind it because like one of my biggest criticisms with comics in general is that like some of like the backlog goes all the way back to the 60s.
Mm.
And it's like nobody has the time to read all that unless like they're terminally into it. And it's like and I think Marvel in themselves is just too cowardly to get rid of like, to reset because it would be, like getting rid of the Jack Kirby and Stan Lee stuff. If you know what I mean, and that would piss
Yeah.
so many people off. And it's like no wonder why Japanese manga has taken such a massive foothold in the comics industry. And it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, I can't blame Disney really for like for not continuing the EU, but then again, the EU was already canned by the time they got it. I got
Yeah, I
that
saw the
confirmed.
post you made, yeah.
Yeah, it was canned. Leland Chi confirmed it was binned in 29 like in 2019. He confirmed it was binned short like before the Disney was even bought the damn thing.
If I had
Was
to
that
guess with that, what was going
And
on was probably because we know based off of the way they were talking on the day of the press release for the buyout, we know they had at least been talking about a sequel trilogy for a little bit ahead of time.
mm,
So my guess
Mhm.
was probably behind the scenes, it was as soon as they were confirmed, yeah, we're gonna go down a sequel trilogy route and go down a different path than the EU, the post Return of the Jedi EU. That's when they were probably deciding what, I don't know what they would have done if they would have handled the exact same way, or if they were just gonna kind of silently ignore it or continue it like two different way. I don't like continue both
N-
continuities, but I feel like it
knowing
was the birth of
no,
a sequel trilogy that really was what kind of led to the downfall of the EU, I guess, for
knowing
its
what happened between the EU and the prequels, I think it would have been that all over again. Like how
well,
basically,
the
yeah, how
difference
basically
though
they
with
and TCW.
the difference with that though is it's, well, yeah, TCW is probably a better comparison.
But then
But
again,
like with
but
the
then again, like,
prequels, like for the most part, they were avoiding that area, so it wasn't as big of a deal. Whereas
oh
like
yeah,
this, a sequels trilogy would have paved right over not all of the stories, but at least a decent amount. I mean, yeah, you might have
mm,
been able to salvage like the Thrawn trilogy depending on what Lucas did, but I feel like like the new Jedi Order series wouldn't have been able to survive a
No, I
completely
don't think
like
so
refreshed
either.
sequel trilogy. I don't know,
yeah.
Scruffy, you could probably speak more to that than I
A
could.
lot of a
I
lot of yeah, that era would have been completely
Yeah, it would have.
annihilated, which would have been painful. But then again, it's like Lucas has already demonstrated at least twice that he's willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like George got to have the final say, so I think he would
Mhm,
have done whatever he wanted, and I think it would have destroyed much of the post
mhm,
Return of the Jedi EU.
What I find interesting about that, just like thinking about the what ifs, is it's like, how would they have handled that? So it's like, would they have just said, okay, everything past Return of the Jedi is, clean slate? Would they have just,
Mm,
gotten rid of the whole thing? Because, like they probably would have kept up with publishing. They would have done publishing, centered around the new films. I mean, they would have at least done
mhm,
novelizations. And it's like, if they go down that route, do it's like, do they keep like the TCW EU stuff or the and kind of separate that, or is it, oh no, actually all the TCW EU stuff stays as part of the EU and we're just hitting the
yeah.
reset now and everything. I don't know, there's so many different ways
mhm.
they could have handled that, and I'm curious what they would have done.
God, speaking of the TCW EU stuff, I think one of my favorite things to come out of that was Admiral Pelion basically telling Ahsoka to put on some fucking clothes. I don't know why, but I just find that
Yeah.
insanely funny. Like you can just tell, like Karen Travis was grinning behind her keyboard as she wrote that. Like it felt like a dig at the show for that.
Yeah, I mean, the show retconned a lot of her novels, really, the
Hmm.
Hmm.
Republic Commando novels, because those really set up the Mandalorian culture,
Hmm.
and then
But
Yeah.
then again, she
TCW
does
took so
glaze the
many.
Mandalorians a lot, so it's like I can
Mm,
see like people having issues with it. You know, I could at least take a step back and go, oh yeah, I can see why people have issues with this. It's like a Dark Empire. Like as much as I like Dark Empire, I am very firm on the stance of Palpatine shouldn't have been brought back, and it's something I've been very adamant on. And it's like when people ask me, it's like, oh, what do you think about Dark Empire? It's like, well, I do like the story, but I don't agree with the Palpatine coming back.
Oh, sounds like someone's mic just cut out.
yeah, I think your mic
Yeah,
Okay,
cut
yeah.
you're
out,
back.
Sorry,
David.
Sounds
I
like you're
just
back.
had to. Yeah, I just got to go and give someone a paper towel. Excuse me for a moment.
Oh, good.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
The Dark Empire, I never read it. I mean, even back when I first heard that like the Emperor came back, I wasn't a big fan of just that idea in itself. But I'll wholeheartedly agree, even without reading the comic book, like there's no way that comic book did it worse than Rise of Skywalker. I have to
Yeah.
imagine that's leagues better.
Oh, yeah, like Dark Empire is a good story, but I can understand why people wouldn't like Palpatine coming back. But I
Hmm.
think for me, Dark Empire is such a good story, I can excuse it.
And if I have this correct, like the basic story kind of revolves around like Luke trying to like almost become like an undercover kind of agent, in a way to try to take out Palpatine, and it's kind of like an internal, like he's almost losing himself in that process of
Yeah.
trying. Yeah, I don't know. Like I have mixed feelings on that because inherently that's a good story. I like that. I don't know how I
We
feel
talking
about
about Darth Maul?
no, Luke and Dark Empire.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how I feel about Luke being the character for that. I mean, I'd have
Hmm.
to read it before I completely condemn judgment one way or come down praise on the other. I know like they did something similar with Quinlan Voss and I don't know if they did that in the EU comics, but I know the Clone Wars canceled episodes that got turned into a book, they did a similar story with that. So inherently the arc, I like that idea. I don't know how I feel about Luke Skywalker being that, but that's just, I mean, like I said, I could read that and completely agree with you guys. It's a great all in all.
I do have like the 1995 trade paperback of Dark Empire, and it has this wonderful write up from Kevin J. Anderson. And at the end of it, I think I've shared this with Scruffy, and I think I've shared it with you, Momo. But what's called basically the ending part, and I'm going to quote it right now. These are Luke. These are our sequels, like not Lucas's, which
Oh
Mm.
yeah, I'm familiar with
perfectly
those
I think
quotes.
sums it up.
Yeah.
And it's like hearing that from Kevin J. Anderson. It's like one of the big EU writers. It's like, wow,
The one
wow.
thing, and I don't know, maybe Scruffy, you'll feel similar to me. Maybe you'll disagree, but I think for me, just looking at it is, I don't think concretely we could ever say, and I try to be careful about going about this in my video about trying to like build a case as opposed to say 100% this is how it is. Like I think there's some wiggle room to make a case on both arguments. Obviously, I feel one case is stronger, but I feel like they never made it easy. The EU guys, the EU team, Lucas, I feel like they could have made it a lot easier for fans. And not that this is an intentional knock at them. I don't think this was necessarily their chief priority, but I feel like they could have made it a lot easier on what exactly the crystal clear relationship was between them all. I feel like because
Yeah.
like Lucas could say one thing and then he'll do something else, but then like 5 years later he'd say the opposite and then do the opposite. And it's like you had some EU authors saying, "Oh yeah, 100% canon." You have some like the Kevin J. Anderson quote, but then you could probably find a Kevin J. Anderson quote where he's like, "Oh yeah, we're continuing to build the universe and the lore." And you'll find like Sue Rustoni saying the one thing, but then you'll have like Leland Shee like, "I've got contradictory statements from Leland Shee," and it's like, come on, guys, just like
Yeah,
fans
try,
say, get it together.
yeah. Good lord, it is a mess of a situation.
It's definitely not black and white. I
No.
wholeheartedly admit, like, it's not. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some people might disagree with me for saying that, but I don't think it's as simple as saying the EU was never canon or the EU was
Mhm,
canon or George saw the EU 100%, or like it's a very
mhm,
nuanced situation. That's why I like some of your videos, Scruffy, how you kind of approach a lot of the nuance with it because
Mm.
it's not something that you could just tweet out one way or the other and say it. Like I hated having to make a 7 hour video about it. Well, I hated making like the video that ended up being that long, but I just felt like there were so many angles to talk about it and so many different like it's not just so black and white as like here's it's canon, here's a quote, or it's not canon, Starlog, like something
yeah.
stupid like that.
Yeah. Or it's canon, bogus quote.
Right.
Like, oh my god, the fucking quote from that OG Star Wars used for Lucas, but was actually Timothy Zahn.
That was yeah, that was
Jesus Christ.
Which one
I don't
was
know, did you
that?
see that,
Which quote
Scruffy?
was that?
Yeah,
No, which quote
I
was
showed
that?
him it. It was the one regarding what's called the Hand of Franduology, and the
Yeah,
way
the
Oh,
it's
one
okay,
written,
yeah.
like I think the dead giveaway to that quote, the way it's written by like someone who's writing the actual book,
Yeah.
and also Lucas mentioning Mara is kind of like a dead giveaway. Like I think yeah, the whole robot chicken sketch, but then again, that's a joke. But
Yeah, I mean, Timothy's not even in the room.
yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like also, she did delete the comment correcting her, weirdly. I
Yeah,
actually have
someone
that archived
I
as
saw
well.
that someone commented and then like I checked back later because I was like, oh, I wonder if she ever responded to that. I was just curious, and then I saw it was deleted. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and I double checked it and I screenshotted it and it's like, oh wow, that is totally not suspicious.
But then, like, to counter that, because I personally think there are a lot of like quotes that are a little, kind of, yeah, bogus. I'll agree with that. But I think there's a lot of like straw man's made on the other side. Like, I watched Scripture, I heard the whole Script Trooper flare up, and I watched his video, and I'm not necessarily saying I disagree with his conclusion, but I think like with him, it was a lot of the basic arguments, and I think it's a very much
Hmm.
more nuanced approach. And I mean, you can't just make these simple, 2 minute, 20-minute videos about it. And like, Scruffy's video, talk about all the different ways that like, there's references or all these ways that you connect. Like that's an hour and a half. You can't just go, EU canon, what the Splinter of the Mind's Eye quote, and it's done deal. Like there's so much like nuance on either angle to it, and I feel like there's a lot of like,
I
people
actually
who
got
just,
that book.
yeah, they're casual fans, or they're not that interested, or they're just like, it's simple, there's no nuance to it, and they
Mhm.
just do the whole EU not canon or EU canon. I think it's you can't just take that approach.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
easier for us if we could just take that approach one way or another, but
Yeah, if
it's
Not.
only.
yeah, it's a
I've
very
always.
nuanced
I've
topic.
always. Yeah. Sorry. I've always
Right
said
here.
it like this. It's kind of like what you call it. I always say this. Canon to the company, but the man is more like
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
iffy.
anybody who says George hates the EU, or he had nothing to do with it, or he never like paid attention to it 100%, I think that's demonstrably false. I think Lucas
No.
had a very clear respect for the EU. I think obviously like that respect only went so far when it came to what he was
Hmm.
doing, but I think he still like, he enjoyed some of the stories. He said it as much like he said it's a well of creativity. Like that's not someone who hates the EU or has nothing to do with
no.
it.
Yeah. Like he may have not considered it like like fully connected to his movies, but he wasn't gonna like openly go, oh wow, it's a piece of shit and I don't like it. No, he liked some things and there were some things he didn't like. Like we're all like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think his interviews around The Force Awakens show that he knows that the EU was important to Star Wars overall.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Its
it
legacy.
did bring in a substantial cash flow. So it
Mhm.
did help fund a lot of like personal projects of his, such as
Mm,
TCW, Red Tails, and Underworld.
Mhm.
So it's like, mhm. And one thing I will give Disney some significant praise for is keeping all those books within print. Hell, they even published an old, unused issue of like an unpublished issue of what's called the original Marvel comics.
yeah,
That was
yeah, I've
like
seen
sitting in the
those.
vault for years, and they were just like, oh, we got this script. Sure, let's put it out. Like that's cool. Like I like that. Like I don't think they hate it or anything. Like they're basically taking the Lucas methodology of like, okay, clearly there's a lot done here. Like we can take a few, we can like use a few things if we want, but and try and make it work. Like I've done that. I've like pilfered some ideas here or there for some of my fanfics. Like what's called a spell I used in my Gargoyles fanfic. Great show, by the way. I ended up pilfering some from someone else's fanfic with credit because I couldn't think of a better spell to use. It's like, ah, fuck, I don't have the intelligence for this. Oh, there's a good spell right here. I'm just gonna take that, sprinkle a little bit of credit. There we go. Yeah, yeah. It's like, eh, and again, it's like growing up. You just kind of like are able to view it in a different way. Like you're able to take a step back and just look at it and go, oh, so it's not as like clear cut as I thought. Like you're able to like at least see from their angle.
And I mean, I think to a degree that's right, because I mean, as I've said before, like I didn't get into like non on-screen Star Wars until around the time of the reboot. So I
Yeah,
didn't
same
grow
here.
up on the EU for years, but it's like if I got into it a few years earlier, I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily have a different stance, but I'd at least at the very, at least probably still like I'd watch TCW and be like, oh well, I'm not happy about how it went against that, or I very much love the kind of clear cut canon, and I love that the EU kept things as consistent as it could,
Oh yeah,
granting room for human error. So watching that, if I'd gotten into the EU 10 years earlier, I probably would watch, and what if I got into the multimedia project, I probably would have had a different reaction to TCW, regardless of, the stance of how Lucas felt about the EU. I probably would have joined in some of the anger and dismay with some of the fans who were turned off by TCW and its continuity issues.
yeah. It's mhm. Yeah. I remember because Pablo Hidalgo, he's on Blue Sky now. I
Okay.
what's it called? when we were talking about the what's called when he confirmed for me that Leland Cheese quote about like the EU being binned being accurate, I'm like, yeah, like even though it was binned, like the fact that it lasted this long with such consistency, despite like all that was going on, like it is honestly nothing to be ashamed about. And he agreed. He's like, yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Like honestly, the fact like we put out a lot of good stuff in that time, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. Like
You
some of those
know,
stories really
I'll
hold up. Like the Thrawn trilogy,
yeah.
honestly, it's fantastic.
I'll
I
say
ended up
to
reading that in
EU
like
fans and
2017.
people who don't like the new continuity, at least their continuity gets an end. I can't ever see this next continuity ending. So at
Yeah,
least
honestly,
you guys kind of have a stopping point. Unfortunately, not an ending point, but at least a stopping
yeah,
point.
yeah. As much as we would like it to continue, but then again, it's honestly kind of a blessing in disguise that it's stopped now, because like nobody else can fuck with it anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like what's called look at what's going on with the new canon and all the Filoni shows that are just trampling all over the books. Like the Ahsoka
Mm.
the Ahsoka novel got like fucked over like 3 separate times. Like bro, why do you hate this book so much?
And then the
Did it
Kanan
offend
comic.
you? Did it fuck your wife? Like I think he hates that book more than Quentin Tarantino hates Paul Dano. Okay. Only a few people are gonna get that joke. I don't know what Quentin Tarantino's problem is with the guy who played Brian Wilson, but oh well. Also, rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Oh god.
That's the thing with they I think Filoni said it. Pretty sure it was in that was it the first ever Disney Star Wars book? It was
Yeah.
a Kanan book.
I think I have the book actually.
Oh my gosh, he's getting up. Doggo. Doggo, doggo.
Yeah, that's Tucker. I think it's somewhere in here.
I'm a cat guy myself,
Oh, I got you.
but for
Oh,
some
it's a
reason my
long
cat doesn't
cord.
come to be me.
Jeez. Okay.
A little funny story. Me and a couple friends. One of them was reading the. I think it was the uh, Clone Wars arc that ended up being a book, the Ventress and Quinlan Voss one,
Uh huh.
and
Oh, Dark
we got to the
Disciples, yeah.
chapter where General Grievous gets trapped in the closet, and I think that broke us more than anything because it's like, what? Like, I remember the exact emotion I felt. I felt like I was having a stroke in real time.
I think I've got it here. I don't know if this is it or not. More important, the old concept of what is canon and what isn't is gone. And from this point forward, our stories and characters all exist in the same universe. The key creatives who work on the films, television, comic books, video games, and novels are all connected creatively for the first time in the history of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
Boy,
that's
that
the
sure
one.
aged well.
Yeah, and then it's like he got asked about the book after that Tales of the Jedi thing came out. He's just like, well, it's the same story, the same outline, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
like, like he kind of inherited the Lucas thing of like like the not like caring about the EU continuity, but it ended up being worse about it somehow.
I
Well,
can
and it's like,
forgive George because he made
It's a
Star
very
Wars.
George
exactly.
thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, at least George, it was like I made it, I owned it, and this is how we're operating. But
Yeah,
Dave, it's like
Hmm.
now it's a company, it's a corporate company. This is the company
Yeah,
directive, and then he's going against that. So yeah, I completely agree.
yeah. It's like a God. What? Yeah, he also retconned the living heck out of the Kanan comic too.
yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel bad for new canon fans who have to deal with this. It's like first time. I I genuinely feel bad for them, and I always end up surprising the few that I talk with. Like they're like, "Yeah, I'm sorry you had to deal with that," and they're like, "Wait, what?" Like they don't expect that from like someone who's into the EU. Sadly, then again, like certain members of the fandom have really put the worst foot forward, if
Well,
you
and
know
it's
what I
like
mean.
as someone who like, I've tried to read a lot of the I shouldn't say try to I've read a lot of the publishing the book stories. Comics are just too expensive, so I don't really keep up with those. But books, it's like 20
Understandable.
bucks and it takes like 20
Mm,
hours to read for me, so it's like, yeah, that's a nice little
Mhm.
that's a worthy purchase. So I couldn't get into the High Republic, but a lot of the stuff around like the movies I enjoy those books, and I actually think like the books are of higher. If you take the average overall, I think the books are probably of higher quality than a lot of the shows and all that put together. So it's yeah, it kind of sucks when
That wouldn't
it's like
surprise me.
it's the same
yeah, I can
thing.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read much from the new canon at all. Like I've been very like I've only heard about it in passing, but then again, I don't judge it because I
Mhm.
haven't read any of it, so I don't, try to be that type of guy.
No, and I'm the same way. Like, I hear some ideas from the EU, and I could just off tell you face value. Like, at hearing that at face value, I'll tell you what I think of it. But I refuse to, like you said, dish out judgment on the EU. I think the idea of the EU was really cool, and like I read the Thrawn trilogy a couple years ago, and if I gotten in the EU 10 years earlier, or if I was like in the '90s and I got into the EU, I would have eaten that up. I
Oh, same here.
wholeheartedly
I
guarantee you.
Mm,
fucking would. I remember the first time I read the Thrawn trilogy, it was like magic in a bottle. It was like coming off the heels of Last Jedi. Uh, at the time, I hated that movie, but as time passes, I just realize, yeah, The Force Awakens fucked that movie so hard.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
agree.
do not envy the position Ryan Johnson was in following up Force Awakens because imagine like following up A New Hope but worse.
And that's why I'm glad that it seems like a lot of people are starting to kind of realize that is it's like e- for a while it was the perception of Last Jedi, kind of did the trilogy dirty, but it's like if you think about it, the Last Jedi just really like basically had to deal with what the Force Awakens gave it.
Mhm. And it didn't help that The Rise of Skywalker basically ignored Last Jedi.
yeah, it's a very disconnected trilogy.
Hey, at least it has some connecting tissue. It's disconnected. That's the connecting theme.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We any of you's peeved at the whole Ray Skywalker line at the end of the Rise of Skywalker?
Say that again.
I have been racking my brain how to rewrite that for years, and I think I've settled on probably the perfect alternative. Just Ray. Like, you know, like what's going on the Last Jedi's theme of like leaving the past behind. Ray just
Well, that really would have been a
shaking
good
away
way to
both
blend the two
names.
films together because she's rejecting the Palpatine lineage and she's
Yeah,
embracing the Last Jedi ideas. So that
yeah,
really would have been the best way to blend those two
like
movies
she's
together.
embracing, like she's facing the future with a like a new, like I'm not going to be like my father. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to make the mistakes of the past.
Yeah.
Mm.
It would have been at least tied into what Last Jedi was doing, but of course we got the coward's way out. Ray
Uh,
Skywalker. It's
yeah.
like,
It's one of those things that I kind of just like, I kind of just tune out in a sense, like unintentionally, just subconsciously tune out. Anytime I'm reminded of it, it's just kind of like, oh, look.
I, 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 I was in the theater when that happened. I saw that movie for free, and I was like, man, I still feel ripped off somehow.
I don't remember my reaction to it. I don't, to that line specifically. I do
Like,
remember when like the camera zooms in on Kylo Ren and he's like, "You have his blood or whatever." He's like, "You're a Palpatine." I just remember rolling my eyes.
me and my brother, we were both just trying our hardest not to laugh during that whole movie. Like, it became the hardest try not to laugh challenge we've ever had in our life. Like, it was great for that, at least.
The movie was a very kind of disappointing experience for me because at that
Mm.
point in time, I was very all in on like I love The Force Awakens, I love The Last Jedi. So going into that, I was like ready for I think at that time the only movie I didn't really care for was Attack of the Clones, which that's completely like changed. Force Awakens and Attack of the
Mhm.
Clones, I've really swapped places on those, but at the time, like I was ready for like a thrilling conclusion to these movies, and I went in and I'm like, what was like? I was one of those people that was like, up until I saw the movie, there was no way Palpatine's alive. It's some sort of I didn't think it was what basically it was. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
trilogy's just aged like milk, really. I mean, I kind of like Last Jedi as like a piece. It feels like an authentic piece of art to me, whereas the other two just feel like corporate slosh. Whereas like whether
Oh
you
yeah.
love or hate what Ryan
Yeah, I
Johnson
agree.
did with the movie, Last Jedi at least feels like he was just trying to do his own thing as an artist. Whereas yeah, the other two just feel like corporate sludge.
Rogue One, that has probably been the best one thus far,
I
despite
agree.
its
Yeah.
flaws. Like, you could at least tell Gareth Edwards had a very good eye for visuals. Like, good God, that movie looks gorgeous.
No, I like Rogue One for sure.
Mhm. Like, it's the closest I've seen where what you call it, the ships themselves look like practical miniatures, except especially the Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful to look at. Like, I was convinced they were using miniatures for a while. I'm like, wait, those are actually 3D? What the fuck? Like, it blew my mind.
If the sequels were good, do you think your position on Rogue One would change? Like, do you think Rogue One would be the sort of amateur movie? Like,
Well, it kind of depends because Rogue One is very high up on the list for me. Like, it's below the original trilogy, and just the prequels kind of flip flop every now and then on their positions on where I stand. Like Phantom Menace, I can see some trims being made. Revenge of the Sith
mm,
is like, I will say this: everything that got cut out of the Battle of Coruscant for the best, to be honest, because that would have murdered the pacing. Revenge of the Sith is a tight movie, despite being like two and a
mm,
half hours. Like it is a
If I would have
miracle that it flows.
with Rogue One because like I liked it when it came out, and that was back when I still loved Force Awakens, and even when
Same.
Last Jedi came out, I still liked Rogue One. So, and as Last Jedi grew on me, I still liked Rogue One. So I don't know if it necessarily
okay.
would have changed for me, but the prequels are interesting. I'll tell you this though, Kennedy. I don't know if you know this about me or Scruffy. I don't know if you know this either, but I actually think Phantom Menace is better than Revenge of the Sith. I know I'm in the minority on that, but
Oh, I mean, it's certainly better than Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones I used to really, really dislike. And it's grown on. I don't want to say I love it.
If there's
I,
one scene from that movie I absolutely loathed with a passion, it's the Anakin admitting to Padme that he murdered the Tuscans.
I
I
actually
think
like
that could have
that
been cut
scene.
out.
I think
Or at
Yeah.
least it should have been Palpatine over a hollow call or something, at least. Or Owen.
I
Because at
think
least give Owen a scene with Anakin.
I don't know. I when it comes to me and Attack of the Clones and Anakin, I think a lot of the Padme stuff is kind of cringe, but I think a lot of the like everything with his mother and all that, I actually think is really underrated. I'm not gonna say
Oh,
Hayden's like an
oh yeah.
Oscar-winning performance there, but I actually like some of that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, the mother dying in his arms thing, it's fucking brutal when you think
Mm,
about it.
yeah, it
And,
is.
and And I do say this, like if I were there, I would have told Lucas swap out Padme with at least Owen. So and Owen basically is like, "Oh, don't feel bad. Like they are monsters. They deserved it." It basically feeds into Anakin's dark
It's a
side,
good
which
idea.
gives
Yeah.
which gives Owen more of a reason. Like it gives Owen a bit more, makes him feel a bit more fleshed out. Of like, "Oh God, what have I created?" And it's why he keeps Luke on the farm,
Mhm.
which would have been an like. Then again, that's just my take on it.
That could have been interesting.
Yeah.
But if I were to do a fan edit, I probably would just cut out the Padme and Anakin scene from that. It would have a domino effect of like it at least makes Padme, it doesn't have Padme be a complete idiot in Revenge of the Sith when Obi Wan's like, oh yeah, he killed kids by the way, and she's like, no, he didn't. Like you know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I see people talk about that line, and I don't know. It never, like that never, that never phased me that idea until I started seeing that like on the internet. Like, I guess the way you could rationalize it is like, Tusken Raiders were always seen as just like these primitive
Inhuman.
savages that were always like, killing people. Like they killed Shmi. She wasn't doing
Mm,
anything. So I don't think Padme necessarily sees that as um inherently like the same as just going out and killing humans per se or any other kind of more common species. And on top of that, it was also just a human moment for Anakin. And he's not like you could tell like he's not happy about it. Like he's telling her like I'm a Jedi, like I should be better than this. Like he's not
Yeah.
like going around like, oh goody goody, I got him, they deserved it. Like he's like, I couldn't stop myself. He's like, I should be better, but I'm angry and so that never bothered me. Whereas like the kids, like they were just literally innocent, Jedi kids,
Mhm.
and they weren't considered primitives or attacking Shmi. They weren't like this little, small primitive clan. Like they were, what you would essentially say first class citizens, right? Of all these different
Oh
first
yeah.
class species.
Yeah.
So that's how I always saw it. I never really saw that as an issue. I can
I
understand where
didn't see
people
it from
who,
that angle,
yeah,
but because we know he told Palpatine, and it's like it would have like I think swapping Padme out with a holo projection of Palpatine probably would have been better. But
I think
it
part of
would have
it is
like
like what he was because I'm not going to say inherently that's a bad idea, and obviously that did in universe that happened. That's implied to have happened, but or that they had a conversation about it. But I think the reason why it
Yeah,
had to
in
be
Revenge of the
Padme
Sith.
was, oh, go ahead.
yeah, it's
Oh,
mentioned
just
in
yeah,
Revenge
they
of the Sith.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
they talk
line.
about it, yeah.
Um, but I think because the movie was supposed to be about building Padme and Anakin's relationship, I think that was the reason it had to be between them is that you gave them that kind of vulnerable moment for them to kind of have some sort of connected, a connecting vulnerable moment that was at least in Lucas's mind, I'm sure to him that was one of various things to help build their relationship is them having this kind of moment with each other like that, where
Oh
Anakin
yeah.
confides in her. Um, and removing that could have possibly, you know, we could sit here and say in the finished product, yeah, it would have been better to have Palpatine, but who knows how we could have, maybe that truly does
Mhm.
inform their relationship, and we just don't think about that because it's just that's how we've known the movie for 20 years.
I would say if like the stuff preceding it with Padme and Anakin was better written,
Have you
having
guys seen those
Palpatine be the
deleted
one to
scenes? That would have done. I think
oh
that would have done leagues for their relationship.
Yeah, it
yeah.
would've. It really would've,
Like
like,
it
going to see her family and everything, yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
I think
But
their
yeah,
their chemistry is just better in that. Like I love watching like the old like early 2000s like TV interviews and all that from those movies. So they'd
oh
always
yeah.
talk about their chemistry, and I'm like, what are they talking about? But then I saw some of those deleted scenes, and I'm like, their chemistry here is so much better in these scenes where they're just having a meal with Padme's family.
Yeah. Swap out the field. Now the field scene can stay with the Anakin riding the animal and they're all laughing and everything.
Mm.
Yeah, that's good.
I think despite all its flaws, it's still a great Star Wars movie, at least for me.
It's good. It's not great. Empire is king, along with New Hope
Mm.
and Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I'm very biased to Revenge of the Sith.
And I
Like the
respect
novelization.
people who, like love it, like love Attack of the Clones. I have nothing against it. Like I don't hate the movie, by any means, and I think there's a lot
I
of
don't hate
redeeming
people
qualities.
who
Yeah.
dislike or like things at all. I can't bring
Mm.
myself to do that at all.
I don't know if I could ever bring myself to in my heart give it like an 8 or a 9 or a 10 or anything. And I don't have an issue with people who do, I think we all have different, things we appreciate and what we look for in movies like that. But people who love it, like I'm not gonna say you're stupid or I don't understand where you're coming from. I get it. I've got a buddy who he's tells me he's like, I will never put any of the Disney movies above the six. And I completely understand that argument. I think like the YouTuber Rick Worley will always make the argument of like, well, this is how the creator laid out Star Wars, and like Attack of the Clones will always hit what the creator envisions as Star Wars better than what anybody else could possibly make, regardless of whether it's a well-received movie or not. And from
Yeah,
that line of critique, I completely get it.
Mm.
yeah. Attack of the Clones. It's very like for me. I think it hovers around a 7, and I rank Rogue One at least around a 8.
I think for me, it's like a high six. Um,
It's not
it,
bad.
it depends on the day. Maybe a low seven. It really depends on the day. But like I said, I don't hate the movie by any means. If anything, it's one of those that I like. I kind of like it despite its flaws, if that makes sense, or despite what I don't like about it. I still like it overall. And it doesn't help
Yeah,
that I'm just a sucker for like prequel nostalgia. So anything, Attack of the Clones is at like the heart of that, right? So,
yeah. If I agree, yeah, I was born like 2002, so I'm I'm as old as Attack of the Clones.
My
Oh my
first Star
god.
Wars memory is Attack of the Clones, so
Really?
yeah.
Nice.
I was like maybe one or two. So
Hmm.
We
I don't remember anything until like I was like what 5 years old.
we watched or I watched them when I was like it was like 2010 I think 2010 or 2011. I actually have a video coming out I made talking about some of my early Star Wars memories, but we were watching them all on DVD and my dad like we watched Phantom Menace and then we watched part of Attack of the Clones, but he had to work the next day. It was our summer break, but he had to work the next day, so we stopped it like halfway through. And when he got home, I was all excited. He had to like take a shower and everything before we started it, but I had the movie on the player and I was just watching the DVD menu for like 20 minutes on loop, getting so excited to finish the movie.
Oh
Because,
god,
like,
those old menus were the best.
yeah.
yeah, I miss those.
And I think, like, for us, we could all relate to it having been kids when they came out. Like, and I think, new kids will getting into the franchise will look like, we could sit here and talk about what we really think is strong about it, what we dislike about it. But
Mhm.
if we have things we dislike about it, but I think kids don't. It's very simplistic for kids like that. It's just whether was the movie boring or did they like it, and it's like if just 20 minutes of action scenes alone will be enough for them to kind of get into it. And I feel like kids,
Mm,
they're gonna look at it and they're gonna see like these are all just Star Wars movies. Like they're not gonna be
Mhm.
like, oh well, Anakin did a bad acting performance or that CGI looks bad or they're watching the movies and they're just gonna love them. I think they're just gonna love Star Wars movies, and I think that's how we probably looked at it as kids, and I know that's how I looked at it as a kid, and I think that's how what Lucas was really going for when you look at what his target audience was.
so
Oh
do you
yeah.
think the sequels will get the prequels treatment or even stand the test of
It
time?
it's been 10 years and the public reception around Force Awakens has taken a net negative, so it's really up for debate. But then again, like when the prequels were 10 years old, we got the
Yeah.
blanket reviews.
It's it's very nuanced, I think. And as saying is this as someone who dislikes two of the three movies, I think they'll get some sort of redemption treatment, but nowhere to the degree of the prequels. I think part of it
Yeah.
is I think with the prequels there was two angles. One is there was people who grew up with the movies and liked them still as adults. And I think for other people there was kind of a coming around on it, whether that was, for some people who like the Clone Wars or some people who like the EU around the movies, or for some people it's just, oh, the Disney movies are so bad, I like the prequels more now. I don't think the sequels are gonna have people coming around on them, but I think the kids who do like them as kids will grow up and still like it. But I
Mm,
think the
Yeah.
problem with the sequels is with the prequels. The analogy I use is it's like a DVD. Like the content on itself is fine. It's just there's surface scratches on the disc. And I don't, this is someone who I
Nice.
like the prequels, but I think for a lot of people that would probably be the better way to look at it is the prequels are either good on their own or I like some of the concepts, just not big on the execution. That's the common critique you
Mhm.
hear about the prequels. Whereas the sequels, they're just inherently broken on the world building. So,
Oh
whereas
yeah.
someone for me, like, I love Phantom Menace. Revenge of the Sith, I mostly like. Attack of the Clones, like, even though I kind of more iffy on that one, for me, it's very much down to execution versus the concepts. I think the concepts of the movie are really good. I think it's just the execution that I'm a little iffy on. Whereas, like, and that's evidenced by the fact that like I really like the novels of the movies. So I think
Revenge of the Sith, my
yeah.
goat.
So
Matthew Stover is
yeah,
king.
I think
yeah.
that's why the sequels won't ever get the same prequel treatment is because I think inherently they're broken and there's no way you can truly fix that broken world building.
Oh yeah. No matter how much like basically every show to come out of Disney except Andor has tried to basically like make Palpatine coming back make sense, like Bad Batch and Mandalorian season 3. Yep, Palpatine's coming back, boys. It's
And
like
even then, like I'm reluctant to I'm with you, Scruffy, and some of the EU people who say like the prequels were never broken or they're never bad movies. I mean, I have things that I would have done
Mm,
differently about them per se, but I think
same.
for me the only thing I would say is there's just a lot in those movies that I think having extra content around it to give some of those concepts to more time to breathe just further makes the era good, if that makes any sense. Like it just
no, it
further
does. Yeah.
betters the
I
era.
think
Yeah.
I think a fourth film like set between Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith would have been Like to do the Clone Wars would have been ideal.
I think if anything, that's what you've got the micro series for. If you don't want to watch, all the Clone Wars show, or if you don't want to get into
Yeah.
the EU, I think the micro series will give you just what you need. But
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think the movies just by themselves work fine.
Oh yeah.
I think extra content around it does nothing but just make the era better and make it more rich. But I don't think the movies are inherently broken. I think it's just a matter of, well, would have liked to see a little bit of a stronger performance from this actor, or would have liked to fix some of that dialogue, or maybe touch up that plot point. But overall, I think the movies are fine in themselves. I don't think they're inherently broken.
Yeah. The which yeah the fuck my brain's going to hell. Uh, hmm.
And Scruffy, I'll say that you've kind of helped, change the way I word that. Back in the day, when I was
Okay.
much more of a prequel critic, kind of riding the internet hype train, and just a kid kind of getting caught up in the internet hype, I was like, yeah, prequels bad. I mean, I love Revenge of the Sith, but prequels bad. Oh yeah, Clone Wars fixed the prequels. And as time's gone on, I kind of just got to the whole like, I love the prequels and I love the Clone Wars, and that's that. And when it took someone like you kind of calling that out, like, no, the prequels aren't broken, they didn't need anything to fix them. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I agree with that, but I never changed my wording to reflect
Mm.
that kind of stance. So I give a kudos to you for helping kind of point out to me, and as I watched your videos, that, yeah, you're right. Like,
Oh,
the
cool.
prequels weren't broken. I love the Clone Wars and how it can embellish the era for me, but I don't think the movies are inherently broken, and I needed to fix the way I've been saying that the last few years. Because, no,
Mhm.
the Clone Wars didn't fix the prequels. For me, it's just the Clone Wars just further embellishes the prequel era.
Yeah, it gives
Yeah.
more context, and it's whether you like that context or not. It's very up to the viewer.
I agree.
Yeah, like I do have this saying, like if there are more good episodes than bad, it's a good show,
Mhm.
which
And that's why I
is a
think,
pretty decent way of looking at it.
people who say the Clone Wars is essential viewing, I would disagree with that. I think, you can, I think Clone Wars could help land a larger punch, to Revenge of the Sith, but Lucas himself said,
Mhm.
like, the Clone Wars was never meant to be anything other than a footnote, essentially, like, like a spin-off. Like, the Clone Wars wasn't meant to be episode 2.5. Like, to understand the story, you
Yeah.
need to see the main films, and that's that. And I
Mm.
agree. Like, you can watch 1 through 6 and perfectly understand and appreciate the story. I
Mhm.
think
Yeah,
for me
the
personally, the Clone Wars, watching that, embellishes that, but I could say that with a lot of the other pieces throughout the continuities. I could say that about, yeah, go read this book. It further embellishes that, but you can watch 1 through 6 and be perfectly fine and appreciate the story as is.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can go about it in whatever way you want. It's kind of
Right.
like an open source project in a way.
Yeah.
Have you read, Momo, have you read the Rise of Skywalker novelization?
I did read the novelization. I didn't read the comic adaptation that came out this year, but I read the novelization back when it came out.
That long? Oh my god!
Did it ever
I thought that
help?
was years ago.
Did it
So
ever help you understand the film better, or did it make the film better in any way, or
I don't
did
think
it
there's
just
any
do
way to
nothing?
salvage that mess.
I
I'm
think the
sorry, but the Rise of
novel, I,
I think the script was basically, and then this
yeah,
happened.
And then,
yeah.
Like it wouldn't.
yeah.
The novel itself is better than the movie, but I can't say, I think I appreciated the novel more, but at the end of the day, I still dislike to me, like,
Mm,
the movie was inherently broken just by having Palpatine return and having Rey be related to him. So it's like I was never gonna like that story, but I would say the novel handled it. It filled in some of the gaps that the movie didn't or couldn't, depending on the context. So
yeah.
like Leia was given more to do that helped where the movie couldn't. And then as
Yeah.
far as like just a lot of the writing issues, the book handled that better, but I would never say it saved the movie for me. Whereas Last Jedi, I read Last Jedi, and I did like that book. I think it brought some more appreciation to the film. It did some different things with, um, I don't want to say different things, but it added a couple extra scenes with Luke that would have been really
Okay.
nice, and it added some of the deleted scenes that I really liked from that movie that I thought
Oh,
benefited Luke's character.
yeah, the one where
Um,
he actually grieves over Han's death. I don't
that
know
was good,
why that was cut.
but the
Yeah,
whole
that
Like,
should
scene
have
where,
been a
like,
necessity.
I don't know if you guys
like
ever watched the Last Jedi deleted scenes, but there's that
I've seen them.
scene where, like, it's right after the whole, like, scene, his second lesson with Rey, and then there's like villagers coming, and Luke's like, "Oh, it's an attack. They're coming here to get the villagers." And she's like, "Oh, we got to go stop them." And he's like, "Oh, well, then they'll just come back next month in more force. Will you be here in a month to defend them?" "I don't think so." But she runs out anyway, and she goes out there, and it's just a party. Luke had kind of like misled her in a sense to teach her a lesson,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I ran out to help him, and what's up? Like, what's with this?" And he's like, "That's what the galaxy needs. It needs young, fresh blood." And I thought that was an interesting scene, but I think it got cut for pacing reasons. I think that's what Ryan Johnson said, but the novel had that, and I
Yeah.
thought it further embellished it. But I
I,
wouldn't
I
say
think
the
that would have.
novels inherently
I think that
save
would
the
have made
movies.
Ray a bit more interesting in a way.
Yeah, because then she kind of calls him out. She's like, "Well, what I understand is across the galaxy right now, our real friends are dying, and they're the ones who need help." So it was definitely a nice little kind of pushback scene between the two of them, and
Mhm.
that nuance unfortunately got cut out of the film. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the novelizations. I mean, I like the Last Jedi novelization. The Rise of Skywalker one was better than the movie itself, but there
Mm.
was no saving the Rise of Skywalker story for me.
I mean, it doesn't take much to be better than Rise of Skywalker.
What
It,
they
it just
do
requires like 1% more.
the original story they were gonna go with. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It would have been anything
Honestly,
would have been better, and I think I would have enjoyed it more. The Duel of the
like
Fates one.
didn't that version include anything from like Mortis? I remember it
Yeah, it
did.
had Mortis. They go back to Coruscant. It's got Palpatine. I think it had Palpatine's destroyer from the EU. I don't know what story in the EU that was, but it had his Superstar Destroyer in it.
The Eclipse.
Yeah, the
I think it's
Eclipse.
the Eclipse.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that was Dark Empire. Yeah, no, that wasn't Dark Empire.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
add all that. I think that would have been a better story, and I
Mhm.
genuinely don't understand why Disney felt the need to like push for that movie in 2019. Like, I don't think anybody would have cared or minded if they came out and said, "Hey, Carrie Fisher died. We're gonna need an extra year to figure this out." I don't think anybody would have
Yeah,
batted an eye at that.
No, no
they
one
had
would've.
to. Oh God, when I remember watching Rise of Skywalker, and every time Carrie Fisher came on screen, it was the most uncomfortable feeling known to man.
It's funny, like,
Like,
at first, I don't know why, but I never noticed it, and then when I watched it a second time, because I went with friends on opening night, and then I went with my family the next day, or opening weekend, and I noticed it then, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, this sticks out like a sore thumb." I mean, and I don't
Yeah.
envy their position on that particular aspect alone, but yeah, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
oh yeah, it's painful to watch, especially when you're like,
Yeah,
I don't envy the position, but it's like, still, it like it's kind of like when what's called an actor gets brought back from the
yeah,
dead with CGI. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
yeah. I do have to ask, have you guys ever read, speaking of the novelizations, have you guys ever read the novelizations for the original trilogy?
I have. I
Okay.
most certainly have. Oh boy, I wanted to talk about this because I think A New Hope might be my favorite, and my favorite Han line was what's it called when they're like getting chased around the Death Star, and Han admits he doesn't count. He wasn't a Corellian. Besides, I was drunk. And it's like that is like that got such a laugh out of me.
The A New Hope novelization for me was just so jarring, not just in the way that it was different, but also just in the way Alan Dean Foster wrote it. I didn't care for his writing style. Empire was just kind of eh, but Return of the Jedi, to me, that felt like the Revenge of the Sith novelization for that trilogy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you read them, Scruffy?
No, I actually haven't read them.
Okay.
It's
So there was a
still on the
lot of
list.
points where like in the movie where added a lot of like the extra characterization to like Palpatine had a moment, Vader had a moment, but one I thought really benefited was Lando. For Lando and Han, it really drew the lines from like after Cloud City, and Lando's like, "I'm here to help out with Han." And because, I messed up at Cloud City, and now I'm here to help, and I'm here for the cause to try to atone for my sins, which you can kind of, I guess, you could make that work from watching the movie and thinking about it, but it was nice to have the novelization kind of connect the dots. And Han Solo, it really drew the line with his character and gave him some sort of arc from after Jabba's palace and wanting to get back in the fight and all that. It really gave him kind of an arc that I feel like the movie didn't, kind of left him on the chopping board for. So that was really beneficial. I really like that. And then just all the times it delved back into the prequels. It's really cool to see like how much was talked about with the prequels back in the novelizations in the 70s and 80s. And for the
Oh
most
yeah.
part, a lot of it holds up. Not that
Oh
Owen Lars
wow.
Obi-Wan brother stuff, but otherwise a lot of it holds up.
Mhm. Yeah, there's some things that line up almost verbatim, such as what's called Obi-Wan and Vader's fight being around lava. It's like, wow,
Or even
That's
that
Obi-Wan was
crazy.
far?
like, I failed Anakin, and that's what he says for Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm. It's one of the few times where Lucas was very on point with continuity.
Yeah. Well, it's just, and I don't know if you guys watch YouTube or Rick Worley's videos. I love pointing back to those, but he talks about how consistent Lucas is. Like, I think it was in his video about the sequels. He said like, oh, on a side note, I found this article from Lucas. I think it was like 1978, and he says in there, he's like, A New Hope was only about 25% of what I wanted it to be. I think the next two will be a lot closer to my vision. And it's like the man's been consistent since day one, whether you like the special editions or not. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. A New Hope has received the most changes, whilst Empire and Jedi have
Right.
received the
Yeah.
least.
And it's interesting too, because it's like when you look at like the space battle, he didn't touch the space battle or the Hoth battle in 5 or 6. Like it was only A
Mhm.
New Hope, and it's like that's
Yeah.
what the special editions were.
Excuse me for a minute. I just gotta use the washroom real quick.
No, you're good.
All good.
My bladder.
Yeah, my next because I've read most of the novelizations. I haven't read Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones yet, so I wanna get
Okay.
those ones. That'll probably be on my reading list for the next year. Since publishing's a little light next year. I'm not really into the High Republic, so that's automatically a bunch of stuff that I'm not into right there. So I think I want to pick up the Phantom Menace and then do Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars movie, and then maybe reread Revenge of the Sith.
Do you know much about the High Republic era? Because it's not really something I've delved a lot into.
I've kept up with just like a couple of the basics, but I mean, I tried reading it. I was like, this could be cool. This could be like my old EU moment to like get into
Mm.
this whole like kind of big publishing initiative. I bought Light of the Jedi. That was the first one that came out. I could not get into it. I just, I don't know. The book was boring. I kept slogging through on my reading and like, all right, yeah, I'm good. I'm not getting into it. Which part of me is like, that's kind of a bummer that I'm missing out on this whole like untouched publishing side of Star Wars. But there was a lot there, so part of me was like, thank God I don't have to keep up with all that because I don't know if I would have had time to.
What isn't like the big galaxy-wide threat just pirates or something?
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's 200 years before Phantom Menace.
Yeah. And it's not like full scale. I almost want to say it's like the Stark hyperspace war, but on a maybe just a
Oh, I
tad larger
see.
scale.
Yeah.
So it's not full scale war, but I think it's like confined to like a sector or two.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. Is High Republic doing well in terms of sales? Do you know?
I
Like,
don't know. I mean, it seems to overall not have been a very controversial project. I mean, I know some people with kind of like the woke stuff, they weren't into that, but it wasn't like, getting the pushback that something like, the sequels or the Acolyte was getting.
mm,
Like, I think the Acolyte was very much like, even for High Republic fans, the black sheep of it. Like, I watched
Mhm.
Star Wars Explains videos, and even they were like, yeah, we like the Acolyte, but there's still like a lot of structural issues with it or whatnot. Whereas like they loved the High Republic in its own. So
Yeah,
okay.
whenever someone describes something as woke, it's like, oh,
Mm.
great.
Well, I
Like
was just saying,
I
like
internally groan
I think
because I
that was
know
the
I know
only
what.
I think that was
Yeah,
the only era of like the High Republic that really got any sort of like criticism. I don't think like story wise there was really any like backlash with it. Is what I was telling Scruffy.
yeah. It's just whenever I hear woke, I just think of the fandom menace, and I internally want to die inside. That is
Yeah, I
part of
think
my life. I am glad I am no longer that.
I think a lot of people who don't like Disney Star Wars, I think it's more political than it really has to do with any of the content in Disney Star Wars. At least
Yeah,
that's
I could
just
see
sort
that.
of what I've seen.
Mhm. Like if they got like their what you call it grip on what they want to do, and like, okay, let's focus on high quality stuff. Let's stop fucking around. I can see them at least turning the ship around in a way.
Mm,
Mhm. And I think for a lot of people, I think, I mean, there's always going to be some people who don't like, who are just going to complain, oh, it's not a male white character as the main story or as the main character, so
mm,
it's automatically woke. But I think for a lot of people, to that notion about the politics, I think they just felt like it was being pushed Fort Center to virtue signal versus, oh, this is just part of the story we want to tell. And I think
Yeah.
and even with Acolyte, like, I didn't think it was necessarily full front in the story itself, but in the marketing, it was just so forefront. I think that's what turned a lot of people off. Understandably so.
Then again, it's like Star Wars has inherently always been political. Like the first film was heavily inspired by Nixon era politics in
Mhm.
mm.
Vietnam.
And there were gay characters in
Something which
KOTOR as well.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say,
what
wasn't there like, yeah, a couple gay characters in the KOTOR games? I thought I heard.
Yeah,
yeah, I think so.
I think you could
Uh,
romance. I think it's. I finished the first one. I haven't finished the second one, so
And
I
it's
hear the
like if
second
someone
one's
just
goaded.
wants to come down on Star Wars franchise as a whole and say just focus on entertainment, I can respect the consistency of the argument, but regardless of where you fall politically, I hate the whole Star Wars is soon to be political. It's like, well, it always kind of has been. I
That
think
it's
just
yeah.
such an inherently
yeah.
stupid argument, and I remember this debate I had with Brandon the Awesome. My friend Debug, he pulled me into it because I knew Star Wars,
Mhm.
and God, I wanted to kill myself.
I
Like it was
think for some
painful.
people, it's more so Lucas focused more on, like, I want to say the timeless type of politics. Not that he didn't ever dabble in like the current era.
I
Obviously there was
mean,
stuff with
what's
like
called
Nixon and Bush, but I think his more focus was the timeless. So then, as we move past the era, the people nowadays are just like, we'll see, it wasn't political back then, even though if you were back there, you would have noticed some of that.
oh yeah.
And that's why I think like something like Andor got a lot less pushback because I mean, while they still had like, the gay couple in there, Andor was more about the timeless politics, so it got less pushback than something like The Acolyte that was just, oh, we're making gay Star Wars. It's the gayest Star Wars, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I've seen
yeah.
people say that Andor is just linking Trump to it. Like that's sort of the
God, I
only
remember
thing
that
I've
from
seen
JJ
in regards to Andor.
plagiarisms.
And I mean, like, I see why some people would make that comparison, but first off, it's like, well, this was, in development, like 2, 3 years ago before Trump, was back into the
Yeah,
forefront of politics. But on top of that, it's like Tony Gilroy talked about, the research he did and some of the various different historical empires he was pulling from. So,
Hmm. Yeah, it's something Lucas has done in the past as well. So it's like
right.
it's very in line in spirit with.
mm,
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
that's why, like,
Andor,
whether
the
you
most.
like Andor as a show or not, I think ultimately at the end of the day, because I mean, I only think the show is just kind of meh. I think Andor will age better than a lot of the Disney stuff because I think there's
yeah, I can see
Lucas
that.
or Gilroy took kind of the Lucas approach to it, where he's like, I got a story I want to tell. I want to talk about like kind of the history and various themes of Revolution. I think because of that, it will age better, regardless
Oh
of
yeah,
whether people like the show nowadays or not.
it's a very
Yeah.
substanceful show, and I think,
Yeah.
and it's you can come back to it on repeat and find something new underneath the hood. It's not like Mandalorian where there's nothing under the the bed,
Right. And
if you
I
know what I
agree
mean.
that with some people who said Andor's a little boring, like, I don't think it's just outright the whole thing all through the whole show was boring, but it could have had better pacing in some of the episodes. I completely agree there, but the whole thing
Good,
wasn't just, in my opinion, boring.
I
good,
haven't
God,
seen Andor, but the things I've
I
heard
need to
about it,
watch it.
I can understand why people will like it. So
Yeah.
I can see why it'll probably, but most likely stand the test of time, unlike the sequels.
You'll know
If you ever
I've
like, you
seen
know
it if
what?
I start sucking its dick.
If you ever decide, Scruffy, like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll pick one random Star Wars Disney project and give it a try. That might be the one that's more up your alley, just because,
Mm,
like
Yeah,
we've said, it's
I might
more
send it your way. I
substance.
might,
Yeah.
send it your way like 4K 77 if you know what I mean.
oh, cool. Yeah.
Wink.
I think one thing I
Yeah.
appreciated about, Gilroy too is aside from the whole, oh, I'm not paying attention to the K2SO comic, which I kind of rolled my eyes at that, but there was a lot of like little Easter eggs he threw in there that were kind of cool. That it's like I feel like a lot of people, Filoni wouldn't throw in the amount of the deep cut Easter eggs that this guy did. So
Mm.
In
Like,
regards to that, is that comic along with that Kanan one, are they still canon or is it the whole campfire thing?
oh god, the campfire thing
When it
burns
comes to
my
the Kanan
blood.
one, I think the new kind of approach is not that there's been any official comment, but I think the approach is the canon or the comic is canon except for that part where because I think it's that first issue where Order 66 goes down. So the Bad Batch takes precedence, but then once Kanan parts ways with the Bad Batch, then it's the canon or the comic is canon from that point out.
Yeah,
As for
because
the K2SO comic, if I had to guess, that's probably just been retconned out of existence. Maybe they'll find some way to make like it's like a cover story or something, but if I had to guess, that's just been retconned out of existence.
Rebel
is isn't there a clone
propaganda.
isn't there a clone in that Kanan comic that saves him? I
Yeah,
think,
later on
or
down the road.
sacrifices himself. Yeah.
It's not at the initial Order 66 moment, it's later on. I think it's like a few issues in. I started reading,
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
read
Yeah.
all of it, but I read a few issues and it wasn't any of those. So it's later on in the run, but it does happen.
I don't know why, but whenever I see Kanan, I'm just half expecting to hear him say, "Well, I think Coolsville sucks."
But see, that's like the interesting thing we talk about with like the Filoni retcons is it's like, there's to a degree where it's like, it's not even like he's doing it because this is the story I want to tell, and unfortunately I have to, blur some details. Like, you brought up the clone that saved him. There was two clones in that comic. It was Captain Styles. Sorry. Captain Styles and Commander Gray. And then Filoni, like in the show, I don't know if it was Filoni, it might have been the other showrunners, but they took like the rank of one and the name of the other, and then they combined them and then changed their color palette, the color of their
Oh, what?
armor. So it was like, why? Why? Like, if you're gonna adapt it and just throw the Bad Batch in there, at least like do your best to make it authentic while throwing in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that's
even like
weird. I don't know why you do that.
exactly. Or even like the Ahsoka one, that one like it was completely new characters, a new Inquisitor. It's like if you're gonna
Mm.
adapt it for a small screen, which if I could understand the whole like, okay, we're gonna take this book and do the broad strokes for a 15-minute short. Okay, fine, whatever, I'll give you a pass. But at least like use the same characters.
Uh,
How bad was the book retconned? Like, is it 99% of it, or
the
Considering
Ahsoka
the
book. Oh
yeah.
boy,
So
where do
Bail
I
Organa
begin?
and Ahsoka meet like halfway through the book, but then in the show it's at Padme's funeral, and then the characters are completely different. It's a completely different Inquisitor she kills, which that Inquisitor has
oh
popped
wow,
up in other media, so I don't know.
Oh,
Like the new Inquisitor and the original one from the book have both popped up, so
also, season 7 goes down completely different in the novels, from what I've heard.
oh I've heard that. Yeah.
it does.
Yeah,
But that one I'm a bit more. I guess I don't want to say like I'm sad at I'm not sad at the retcon, but at least that it's like it's just flashbacks at retcons and it's not the main focus of the book. So at least
I'm
that one I'm
pretty.
more willing like to give it kind of the whole like prequel Zahn era type kind of pass. But yeah, the Tales of the Jedi one is what completely mucks everything up.
I'm pretty iffy on whether Ahsoka will be able to defeat Maul or not. Like, I've heard in the book that she uses her wits to trap him in a what's called ray shield. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's actually smart. And it's something I would expect from, like, the Padawan of Anakin. She knows she can't beat this guy, so she decides to outwit him. It feels a bit more like,
It
like
definitely
there's a bit
sounds a
more
lot
depth
better
to it.
than what Filoni went with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me go up against the guy that killed Qui-Gon Jinn and also gave Obi-Wan a run.
Well, and see, that's
Like,
where like, I mean, I'm not gonna say inherently anyone who's like, oh, Ahsoka beat Maul. How? Like, I understand where some people kind of draw the line. What gives me, I guess, any sort of hesitation to come down firmly? Yeah, that's way out of, the loop. Is the fact that Obi-Wan beat Maul as a Padawan.
yeah, he
Which
did, but
it's like we think of
Yeah.
Obi-Wan now as like Obi-Wan Jedi Master, but like Obi-Wan Padawan, Ahsoka Padawan, like I kind of see similar comparisons. So it's like
then again, like
I'm a little hesitant to say outright it's unbelievable. I don't want to say like
Obi-Wan
anyone
was
question that as
def-
bad, but
yeah, Obi-Wan was 25 in Phantom Menace, and he also like it was at that like Obi-Wan was like basically fucking inches from losing, so
Mhm.
Maul was kind of like, oh yeah, I fucking won this, let's
But
go.
he also cut Maul's saber in half too.
Oh yeah, that too.
And I mean, going at it sword wise, they seem pretty, unless I may be misreading the scene, but to me, like, when they were fighting just with swords, it was they were doing a decent match. It was kind of when Maul used the Force, and then that was when he almost killed Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah,
And
Mm.
then
for
that's where
sure.
I also say Ahsoka, she's also been in the war for 3 years. So a bit more, I want to say, I guess, combat experience than Obi-Wan would have had at that age, regardless of, the fact that he was older.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm like, inherently, I don't want to write it off, but yeah, I understand how someone's like, I think the power balance in Clone Wars is a little off sometimes. Because
Oh yeah,
you'll have like
Yeah.
Cad Bane fight Obi-Wan with a lightsaber, but then like Obi-Wan in season 4, Obi-Wan takes him out unarmed.
yeah. The power scaling is all wow. It's like a show that gets compared to TCW a lot, Transformers Prime. It seldom has the power scaling issues. You don't see RC go up against Megatron and win.
Mhm.
Like she gets fucking bodied. Like what or Bumblebee, he gets bodied. Like the only person that can basically fight Megatron for an extended period of time is either Optimus or Ultra Magnus. But then again, Ultra Magnus will get bodied eventually.
Mm.
God, I need to rewatch Transformers Prime. What's called? I'll send you a copy, Darth Momo. It's good show, like really good.
All right. Well,
Like
I've probably got to draw the line here in maybe about 30 minutes or so. So is there anything else before we kind of just shoot the breeze carelessly for the next half hour? Anything we wanted to talk about specifically or
hmm. Well, I have been reading Cloak of Deception. I haven't finished it yet. Just life getting in the way and all that. But overall, it's been really good. I love how James Luceno writes Qui-Gon in this.
okay, that's the one with
It
Qui-Gon and Valorum before Phantom Menace, right?
yes, it's
Yeah.
the prequel to Phantom Menace, and I really love Palpatine in this. Like he really comes off as a magnificent bastard.
Okay.
And it's like if you're gonna write Palpatine, basically David Xanatos from Gargoyles without morals.
Okay. I've thought
Which
about picking that one up just because, I mean, I don't get too much time to read, and I like to kind of focus on the canon continuity just because I barely have time to keep up with one continuity as it is, but just because I love
oh
the
yeah, that's
Phantom Menace so
understandable.
much, I've
Mm.
thought about picking up Cloak of Deception and was it the
Oh,
Maul
you
one,
will
Maul
not be
Shadowhunter.
disappointed. You Maul Shadowhunter, I don't think it's as good. Like it's good. It's really
Mhm.
good. Rest in peace, Michael Rivas. He was actually a writer on Gargoyles, believe it.
Oh, did he pass away?
Yeah, he passed away a few
Okay.
years ago.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Rest in peace. I do like their work on the MedStar duology. I think I like how Barris is characterized in that. Like what's called she had the opportunity to let a guy she absolutely detested, just die off, but she chose to save him instead.
I
As much
gotcha.
as
Yeah.
she hated him, she couldn't bring herself to, forsake the Jedi vow, whatnot. Like she's
I
a
I
healer.
prefer Barris like this rather than the TCW version.
Basically, okay. How do we get Ahsoka? Hey, Dave, get the get the darts. We're gonna choose who's gonna bomb the temple.
See, that's
Like,
one of those
oh,
things where, like, when it comes to Clone Wars, like, I mean, I still love the show, but I'm not like without like saying I love it. But yeah, that's an issue. That's an issue. And I've seen some people like I watched the YouTuber Sheep Talks. I watched both his like 2 hour long videos on Clone Wars, and I've seen other people point this out too. Like, at least if you're gonna take Barris and change your character like that, at least do it properly in the story and build it up right. And it's like, yeah,
oh
you know
yeah.
what? That's fair. Like she's in there
It
with
just comes out
Ahsoka
of
in season
nowhere.
2, and then yeah, it just comes out of nowhere. So like, I love Clone Wars, but yeah, they could have
Mm,
built that up a bit better. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. Sheev talks when it comes to criticism. It's the perfect balance of like fair but very objective and blunt.
I do like his prequel talk or his prequel
Mhm.
videos. I feel like they're unique critiques, and I like how he's like, yeah, Plinkett's an idiot for saying this. No, no, no. But
Yeah,
here's my
and
actual issue.
yeah, like when he calls out Plinkett being an idiot, he actually shows he actually explains why he's an idiot, and I love that because what's called I think I remember it pretty clearly for Phantom Menace when Plinkett's talking about what's called the differences in the openings and like the readability of it. He's like, brother, you're getting all this information for A New Hope from the crawl.
The
You're not
blanket
even getting your.
reviews, I never liked them. I even back when I was like, oh yeah, I'll write the internet hype, prequels bad, special editions bad, hate George Lucas, like, which I hate that I was part of that as a kid, but I never liked the
I've
prequel.
been there too, to
Yeah.
be honest, and
I never liked the
growing
blanket
up, it's
reviews. I always thought that, like, I tried watching them and they were just so, like, I was just, like, irritated with them. I'm like, this is so stupid.
mhm. and
Yeah, they're
it's
just not very good
genuinely,
reviews.
Yeah,
it
they're not.
it's honestly astounding that they were, like, parroted, like, like, repeated for so
Yeah.
long. Like, Chris Stuckman repeated them, Cosmonaut
These eyes
Variety Hour
analyze
repeated
movies.
them. Like everyone repeated the talking points,
Yeah.
whether they were bullshit or not. Like, it's astounding.
And it's funny because, like, before Force Awakens came out, I tried to review all the movies. I only ended up doing the prequels. I didn't do the originals, but I never uploaded them. And so I found those a couple of years ago, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna like upload it, but then I'm gonna like, kind of react to it at the end and show how like I was wrong or what I disagree with or what I still think about. And watching my Phantom Menace review, like I parroted some of those points, and I'm like, this is so stupid. I hate when I did that, but thankfully, I did get reviews out in 2017 before The Last Jedi came out, and my Phantom Menace
Bef-
review comparing my 2015 review to my 2017 review, it's like night and day. I'm like out there in 2017, like, yeah, I love the Phantom Menace story.
I think a lot of
Yeah,
people are starting to see that those reviews were just all
so
BS.
terrible, yeah. Like,
Well, and it wasn't even
it-
just like how bogus his arguments too. A lot of it was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about like the dead hooker jokes and the pizza rolls. It's like that's so annoying. Like it wasn't funny even out there the first time, but then he just kept repeating it. It was like, dude,
Yeah.
like let it
yeah,
go.
it's like, okay, you beat the joke into the ground.
Yeah, and
Like,
then
it's
some.
not coming back up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fuck those reviews. Good lord.
Because
No,
I
Like,
feel like
I
they
like Red Letter Media, but those reviews just no.
I feel like they had a wider spread. I feel like they influenced popular culture as well.
To a degree, yeah. I think
Yeah.
what's called, there's that one video that J.J. Abrams had, like, saved, like, of like how to write Star Wars. Fuck. And it's how, like, basically it's like you can point to this video of like why TFA is fucked.
and one could only
Yeah,
wonder,
it's
like, I mean, I know there was still a backlash, but if the blanket reviews hadn't been a thing, one could only wonder how the sequels would have turned out.
Mm. Then again, I don't think Lucas gave too much thought about it because he, doubled down in a sense with TCW and whatnot.
Hmm.
So then again, like Lucas, I think it's publicly known that Lucas doesn't, like, view things on the internet. So God, honestly, I don't blame him for doing that.
There's I don't know if you guys ever watched the ILM documentary that Disney put out a couple
I
years ago.
have.
So they
Uh,
the ones about the prequels, at the end of it, the one about the Phantom Menace, they had him reading the newspapers, and if I had to guess, that's probably the extent of the criticism he saw about the prequels. It's such a George
yeah.
Lucas thing looking at the newspapers.
This critic didn't like my movie. I've been seeing this shit since 1977. Like,
is it
and
Roger
he
and
has,
Ebert?
like,
Aren't
there's
they
like
the
that
big
one
ones?
famous picture of, like, he's wearing a shirt and it's like a bad review of the movie.
What'd you say,
And like
Scruffy?
that is Scruffy.
Oh,
I think
I'm sorry, I thought I heard him say something.
oh,
yeah, I
no,
think I
I was
accidentally joined
just
you
gonna
up.
say, was Roger and Ebert weren't they like the big critics at the time? Did I get
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
names right?
Siskel and Ebert, they were big critics at the time, but I think they were positive on Star Wars.
I think
Oh,
Ebert,
okay.
he didn't like Attack of the Clones, but I think he
Mhm.
was fine with Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I don't know what he thought about Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I watched the debate of him on TV debating this guy about whether Attack of the Clones was good or not. Some guy was fighting him, and he's like, "No, it was good," and Ebert was like, "No, no."
Yeah,
He's the old guy with the glasses and the gray hair, right? That's Ebert.
yeah, that's Ebert.
Yeah, okay,
Uh,
yeah, he was the one debating the other
I
guy.
love him and like their his reviews with Gene Siskel, because it's like they bounce off each other in such a natural way.
Yeah, they upset the guys who did Independence Day enough to have a I guess a
Yeah.
cameo in Godzilla. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I do remember what's called Sam Witwicky's dad being in that movie,
Yeah.
which is so freaking weird. From the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, the guy who plays Sam's dad, he's in the Godzilla movie. It's like, wait, what? Like it threw me through a loop.
I think in the 2000s there was I don't know if it was a movie or a show, but it was from Toho, and they had that Godzilla appear, but it got
Godzilla
like,
Final Wars.
yeah,
That's
it
it.
just got destroyed by Godzilla
Yeah,
almost immediately.
yeah, they fucking steamrolled that little bastard. It, it it's cathartic to watch. I think there's an extended version of that scene too, but I can't exactly remember. I think it was on like the 4K or something. Or the new Blu-ray. They made a lot of
Okay.
the old deleted scenes public, which people call lost media. It's like, no, it's not lost media. It's just hard to
No.
come by media. Like what's something like that's actually lost media, the theatrical cut of THX 1138. The original 1971 cut, which only exists on a 16 millimeter black and white print, which I have. I've got a
George has
scan of
got to
it.
have George's got to have the original, right?
Most likely a print exists within Warner Brothers somewhere.
Yeah, because
Oh,
he was
okay.
always someone who would never. He saved everything. He never threw it away.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, what's called 5 minutes wasn't cut, but I know for certain that the Flash Gordon section that was removed, and the midsection of the film where the main character gets captured and like put on trial and whatnot, that was completely rearranged, along with a little addition from Donald Pleasance talking with the kids. That's about it. But
Oh
still,
wow.
it's very, very weird to see it that way because I'm so used to the 2004 cut, and which is basically the 1978 director's cut, just with CGI added. Yeah, I know too much about this movie. It's probably one of my favorite Lucas movies because, like, it's Lucas at his best visually as a
I got you.
director.
Is
No,
Red Tails good?
it's on my list to watch.
Red
The
Tails is good.
sequel.
It's pretty good. It's not terrible. He goes direct. He directed some of the reshoots, but it was someone else who directed it. He had been
Oh,
trying to get
okay.
it made for years, though.
What about
Yeah, it's
Strange
about
Magic? Did
the
you ever watch that one?
no, but I'm honestly kind of miffed that it was left out of the Lucasfilm animation collage.
Was it made by Lucasfilm Animation?
Yeah, it was. I think it
Oh, I didn't
was.
know that. Okay. I thought he was doing that on his own because I know that was after the buyout. I didn't know that Lucasfilm was part of
Yeah.
that.
Somehow,
Have you
Star Wars Detours ended up on it on the
Detours is
like the
something we
poster.
need to see.
you
Yeah. I think
have you
most of it leaked. So,
have you seen American Graffiti?
I saw
yes,
American Graffiti like
Yeah.
golly, probably like 10 years ago.
there's,
I
there's
liked
like
it.
three fucking. I think there's like three cuts of that movie. There's the studio cut, then there's the later director's cut from the later 70s, and then there's the DVD cut.
Whatever was on the
Oh my
DVD was
gosh.
probably the one I watched. I didn't know that there was
Yeah.
different versions at the time, so I didn't pay attention to which one we watched.
And not
Hmm.
I never knew that either. I just thought there was one.
Yeah, the original theatrical cut only exists as a 480p telecine of a 35 millimeter print,
Oh,
but it
okay.
does have the original mono mix, which is really it's a good mix. Sad it was never carried over. Like you can't beat a good mono mix. Like Terminator, one of the gold standards of a mono.
That reminds me, I don't remember if I asked or not, but do we know if it's going to be the stereo or the mono on the release? I know they've released some video clips, but I didn't know if any of those gave it away or not.
I think it will be a Atmos mix, but I think it'll be either probably the it'll be very much following the original not the six tracks 70 millimeter, but the original stereo mix, but maybe with the line from 3PO about the tractor beam added back in. But I'm not 100% sure. But I
I
just
had a feeling
genuinely,
that's what they would do, but I didn't know if we knew for sure or not.
mhm. It's they're definitely going to make a new mix, but whatever gets included or not, it's fair game. I think it'll most likely just be a. I think it'll just be like a very much resembling the original Dolby stereo mix.
I got you.
I don't know why, but I kind of prefer some things from the mono mix. Like what shot Luke saying, Blast it, Wedge, where
Blasted
are
Wedge,
you?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like that I love. It's a little fix that just goes along. And
I agree.
on Baru's voice, I'm very take it or leave
Yeah.
because it
I
is so
I grew up
different.
with the other
Yeah.
one, so it's like I can't listen to that lady. And then plus it doesn't look like the audio matches up completely either, so
Yeah, I think it's 100% dubbed in. And every time I see it, I'm thinking, man, what am I watching? An anime or like a fucking Hong Kong movie with the very rough English audio where it sounds like it's very rough. You know, it sounds like this.
Uh,
And actually, the reason why most Hong Kong dubs kind of sound that way, it's not because of the mic the equipment was shit. It's more of the source of the where they got it. What's called Jackie Chan's Police Story. Uh, for the Blu-ray for the dub, the first dub, they managed to find a VHS with the tape audio and not and an optical print. So the audio just sounds pristine, like fresh off the line.
oh wow.
And it was like I think it was like on a Danish VHS, which God bless them.
We
But
have
yeah,
a
hearing
release date for um New
the
Hope
new
re-release.
the 50th anniversary.
Okay,
I,
right.
I, I hope it at least gets onto Disney Plus so I can get it via other means.
they'll probably do a physical release.
Oh yeah, they'd be
I can't
stupid not
imagine they
to.
won't.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars fans are willing to buy like the same Blu-ray 10 times
Yeah.
as long as it has new stuff. Like, eh, yeah, like having it like be its own thing or like bundled with the special edition. Hell, I say bundle it with the current special edition and the 1997 special edition. All three versions.
Like it if they bundled it with at least the current one, but if I had to guess, it'll probably be they'll do like a steelbook release of each one
Oh yeah.
by itself.
I hope this gives them the incentive to do a new 4K transfer of the current special edition because that transfer unfortunately suffers from heavy noise reduction,
I would like to
which
see, and even
oh
like the
like
prequels too. Like I tried watching, I think I put one of them on my TV a few years back and on Disney Plus, and they're just so dark.
oh yeah the prequels are fucked. Uh, Attack of the Clones was filmed in 1440p, and
Yeah,
Revenge of the Sith was 1920 by 1080. So there is no 4K master at
well,
all.
I know, but even just like the coloring on them.
Yeah, digital color correction in the early days was a bitch.
So I'm like, I'll just watch my Blu-rays going forward because I think they look a lot better.
Surprisingly, the sequel trilogy fares a bit better because they were using, I think, 35 millimeter, and they rendered out everything at least 2K, so they could just bump it up to 4K without an issue.
I do have to
So
say
yeah,
though,
there's
because I have all the VHS tapes, and earlier in the year I was doing like a transferring them all to DVDs, and it was because of course I've got so many different copies, so I was like basically watching slash listening to these movies on repeat for a couple of weeks, and once I got done with all the original VHSs and I got to the special edition VHSs, it was a night and day difference. The special edition, at least on home media, looks so much better.
oh yeah, what's called they did a complete restoration for the special editions. So they weren't yeah the best
Yeah.
quality of those transfers are probably the laser discs still.
I actually have, so I've got the three laserdisc. It's I have the Star Wars one and the Return of the Jedi one that have the original posters on it. The 93 ones. That's right, 93.
Oh,
Ooh,
I have
cool.
the
oh the
Empire.
1993,
I have the Empire from 95, the one with the Stormtrooper face on it, and then because I knew they
nice.
did a Phantom Menace one, so I told my at the time girlfriend, but now
Oh
wife,
yeah,
I told her
that's Japanese only.
I was like, "Oh, that would be a cool collector's item to have." I just told her that like offhand, and then a few months later for our anniversary, she got that for me. So I've got all four of them up
Fucking
here.
W.
Oh man.
Like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
the
It's
what's called
I
Japanese
love
Laserdisc of A
the
New
look
Hope.
of
That's
it.
like
Of
the
like,
only one with the theatrical cut.
yeah, I love the look of it. I don't know. Like, I'm a sucker for just like the OCD of it. I love like the incomplete saga. Like, and even with the VHS tapes too, because you have like one, two, and then four, five, six. I love that like
Yeah.
image of just that incomplete saga, what it was back in the day.
At least for VHS, you can get at least a bootleg of Revenge of the Sith to at least fill in
Mhm.
the collection. Even for the Disney stuff, you can do that as
Okay
well.
with it not actually. I don't have a Revenge of the Sith VHS, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. There is a what's called 4.3 release of Revenge of the Sith on DVD. It's pan and
Yeah,
scan, so you could basically just record that to VHS if you want.
that
I
was
don't know why you
actually
would.
what I had initially when I first got the movies. And I didn't know I was 10, so I didn't know what full screen widescreen was. And then later, once I kind
Ooh,
of learned, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go fix that. So I went and bought a widescreen version and got rid of the full screen. It was all scratched up. I
nice.
think I put it on eBay for like $1 and someone bought it.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh well, like I took a picture of the disc and everything, and I'm like, well, they still want it. Okay.
There's a few things like some white whales I've got, such as what you call it, Sonic Sat AM, the 1993 show
Hmm.
on Saturday morning. I got the End Circle DVD release, which I will not bitch about because it's terrible. But I want the original 2007 Shout Factory release because that's the gold standard of that show. Like the
Hmm.
transfer is amazing. Like it's from the tapes, but it looks amazing. It displays nicely on a 1080p 4K TV.
I gotcha.
It's amazing. I do have the DVD ISOs burned on the DVD-Rs because I'm desperate. Oh fuck! I dropped the cookie. God damn it!
Oh,
It's
what happened?
ruined. Another. I mean, what else do I have in terms of white whales? Uh, Gargoyles Season 2, Volume 2. I've got Volume 1 and complete Season 1. Uh, I think. God. What else? I'm trying to think about it now, but it keeps blanking on me. Uh, Maybe the first season of Transformers G1, the Rhino release. Oh yeah, and the first two seasons of Prime on Blu-ray. I got the third season on Prime for third season of Prime on Blu-ray for like $20. Like I'd have to be an idiot to pass that up, and then it went out of print. I'm like, oh fuck, I dodged a bullet. Because getting them secondhand is like pulling teeth. Like eBay is hell.
Hmm. I
And
gotcha.
plus, they're like a deluxe thing, so you can't get them like for cheap new. It's like no, it comes with a comic book, which jacks up the price to $80 in Canada. Thanks. Yeah, but God, before Right Stuff went down, I went fucking ham, grabbed much anime good. Gunbuster, Project A-ko. Yeah, USA Yatsura episodes 1 to 54. Like I've got a few things Right Stuff before they ended up going belly up, thanks to Crunchyroll, the bastards.
You big on anime, Momo?
I'm gonna be honest, not really. Um, I, I just don't like the look of it. It kind of almost gives me like a headache in a sense. I don't want to say it's an outright headache, but it makes me almost a little nauseous watching anime. Even and like just trying to watch Visions just because that was start like I didn't watch Visions for probably a good year and a half until after it came out, and even that was a chore to get through. Not necessarily because I thought the stories were bad. I didn't really care for the stories in the second or the third seasons, but just I don't really like the animation style of anime.
If there's one anime I would recommend that is very like it doesn't feel like it, it's Akira from
Well,
1988.
I've got my brother or one of my friends. They keep trying to get me to watch Attack on Titan.
Don't.
Oh, that one.
No, you don't like
I've never liked it, and I've never cared.
it?
What is it about? It's like giant
The
monsters.
Titans are attacking the wall.
Like the
That's
Titans,
all I
like the
get from it.
Greek mythology Titans?
No, just big fuck off Titans, like humanoid looking things.
Oh, okay.
Like I tried watching it. I was like, and bugged out. I didn't vibe with it.
I gotcha.
Oh yeah, there's also what you call it, Hayao Miyazaki stuff. Nausicaa, that's probably a good start. There's also the manga, which is okay. If I can say this, it's pretty much It's the closest thing the Japanese have gotten to Lord of the Rings in terms of scope. Like
Is
Oh,
it
it
is,
treason if I
it is.
say I'm not the biggest fan of Lord of the Rings?
Damn.
I
I mean,
tried.
it
I had a
isn't.
friend hyping it up. I tried watching them, and and even like tried The Hobbit too, and I couldn't get. I did like Return of the King, but I couldn't get into them. I was just so bored.
Which cuts were you watching?
I think they're the theatrical cuts. Whatever.
Because
I
if
don't
they're
know.
like over 4 hours, you're watching the extended cuts, and
yeah.
It was
good
like
God,
three and
those
a
are
half
long.
hours. Yeah.
Is it
And
just
Yeah,
like,
fantasy
but
that's not
I
your
was
thing, or?
excited too because like I've heard I love Game of Thrones, and I've heard
Oh, okay.
comparisons been made, and I know like Tokyo was an inspiration for George R. R. Martin, so I was excited to try watching Lord of the Rings, and I couldn't get into it. I was really disappointed too because I'm like, oh, I really wanted to get into this, but I couldn't.
What
the one.
aspects like made it hard for you to get into?
I don't know. I think I might just not have been able to get into the story.
Okay.
Understandable. The one thing I absolutely love from the Lord of the Rings is just everyone in the fandom just agrees Samwise is the most badass
Yeah.
character. like like he is considered like the true protagonist, even though he's not.
Yeah. Well, I heard somewhere like I guess, and I don't know how true this is, but someone had told me that C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were friends, and they had a bet on who could do a better, like Christian-centered story. And Samwise is supposed to be like a metaphor for like Jesus. I don't know if that's
No,
true or not, but that's what I
that
heard.
is, I have never heard that in my life. I know he and Tolkien had beef though because
Okay.
Tolkien didn't like how what got heavy-handed Lewis was in terms of the allegory and whatnot. He's like, brother, I can see it clear as day. Like
Well, I don't know.
Aslan is
Maybe that's
Jesus.
true. Then maybe that's why it's so like you don't think of it is because Tolkien was trying to do it so subtly, and maybe I
Yeah,
don't know. Like
and
I said, I
also
haven't independently look into that. I just had a friend tell me that.
and also Tolkien pulled from a lot more than just Christianity. Like he pulled basically everywhere
Yeah.
all at
Well, I know
once.
like Hero's Journey's in there too and all that.
Hmm.
Um, I think though I'm about it because I got to get the dog out and then I got a couple errands to run. So I
Oh yeah,
think
that's no problem at all.
but I think
It's
this is
all good.
probably, at least for me, I think if we're uploading this, this will be a good time point before going too long.
Yeah, we don't want to accidentally drive ourselves to madness.
We don't need a 7 hour video. What ignorant fool would put someone through that, right?
Yeah. Unless we're like what's
Uh,
called Sheev Talks, who makes like two-part 2-hour videos on like The Force Awakens, which goated videos by the way.
I did like those. I did watch those. Those were good.
Oh yeah, they're great. Like
That's
he's
where I'm like,
like
you can't deny just how broken the world building of Force
mhm.
Awakens is.
it is.
What's called me and a sequel fan, we ended up watching them like together, and they're like, yeah, no, I understand a lot of his points. Like it's like they were very open to Sheev because he was genuinely fair with the
Yeah,
movies, and he didn't pull any like abhobbitins or like like
right.
any crap.
I loved his
Like
whole
what's
intro
called
when he started out the video, and it was like the whole like, "Okay, Luke Skywalker's vanished. Okay, this could be interesting." From his ash, or she's the final, First Order has risen or whatever, and he's like, okay, and then it said something else, and he's like, "No, you lost me. You lost me."
yeah. Uh, the craziest thing, I ended up in a voice call with Sheev not too long ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Believe it or not,
Oh
yeah, and
wow.
I helped him get a 4K 77 1.4, but then he switched over to despecialized because it was like what's called much a bit of a cleaner image despite being 720p.
I
Which
do have to.
honestly I understand, but I did get him onto the Star Wars trilogy forums, which in itself is a W.
I do have to say, he's kind of changed my mind on something. For a while, I was just kind of, in the camp of like, oh yeah, Ray was just they wanted their, their girl boss, heroine main character, right? And that's why Ray's there, and that's why she's so poorly written. But I love how he pointed out, he's like, well, Finn's just as poorly written. Like Ray isn't here to be some like big woke statement. Like Ray was probably just the main character because George Lucas's outlines had a female main character, and that was as simple as it was. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I think he's right because
Hmm.
Like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Finn wasn't written as well, and then on top of that, like, how much of their logic was just simply, oh well, George did that in A New Hope, so that's why we're doing this. Like, there's no like
Yeah.
in-universe thought behind it or story meaning behind things. It was just, oh well, A New Hope did this, so that's why we did it. And I'm like, yep. George had his sequel things as this, so yep, that's why they had the main character as a female. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I think he's kind of right
Yeah,
on
that
that.
sounds about right.
It looked at A New Hope, but didn't like. A New Hope is very like it's a very tight script,
It
like for
is.
all its flaws. Like it is very tightly paced and like every like it's a classic look of like cause and effect.
There's
Force
a
Awakens doesn't have the cause or the effect.
there's a YouTuber that's starting to pop up. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. His name is Max of Zorro. He did a
I've not
video
heard of them.
breaking down The Force Awakens and The New Hope, just their opening acts. And like how everything in A New Hope, like even down to the tiniest details that we take for granted now because it's so ingrained in our memories, like how well everything makes sense and it adds up and it builds on each other. And The Force Awakens is just the complete opposite. So if you're wanting a
Hmm.
good, rip apart The Force Awakens video, look up Max of Zorro. It's like a 30-minute video, but it was really good. It really
Ooh,
breaks down how
I should check
bad
that out.
the
I'll
setup
keep
for it
that in
is.
mind. Now
With
I gotta
that
figure
though,
out what game I'm gonna play next for playthrough.
I got you.
Yay!
With that though, I think I am gonna dip. I don't know if you guys want to keep going or not, but this was fun to arrange. This was nice to just
Oh
shoot
no,
the
this
breeze
was
for a couple hours. I had fun.
this was swell.
Yeah, no,
I don't know
this is
who
good. It's
recorded
good
this.
chatting.
I sure as shit didn't.
Scruffy, did you record?
No, no, I didn't
Okay, so
actually.
I recorded. I don't know it. I don't know how long the file is, so I don't know how transporting that to you. But worst case scenario, if I can't get you guys a raw file, I can get you the edited file from the YouTube platform. So at least that'll be smaller in
Oh
space.
yeah,
I'll work with it and see what
Yeah,
I can get to you guys.
yeah. What's
it's
called? You
all
could
good.
always run it through Handbrake to encode
Okay.
it to a smaller file size.
I mean, I might have space on my Google Drive.
Mm,
But
yeah,
we'll
or
go
you
from
could
there.
use Go File, which
Okay.
is free
I'll see how
and it
big the
doesn't have a
file
size
comes out
limit.
to be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I always end
If
with
worst comes if worst comes to worst, you can just send us a link like to add us as collaborators.
okay, yeah, and then you guys could download the links too and all that or whatever we got to do.
Yeah,
All right.
I
Well,
did that with a notable Beach Boys fan
I'm
mixer, so that was cool.
gonna tune out, but may the force be with you guys.
May the force be with you, and have a good night.
Yeah, have a good one. May the force be with you.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, comment down below and hit that like button. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them delight.